Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Virtual Drift Masters. My name is Jonathan Tiny Jarboe, and I'm here with my main man, Craig from VDC. Craig, how you feeling about today?
I'm feeling good, man. Interesting new layout here in Ricardo Tormo, and it will be the same round one layout for the actual Drift Masters round. Very interesting coming up here.
Man, I'm super excited, especially the culmination between virtual and real life drivers actually battling it out in a actual layout that they will be competing in real world. I'm excited for this event. It's going to be so dope, especially when we go through the 6 rounds. This track has a lot of really technical portions. Since you're really profound in the VDC environment, what are you looking for in these tracks?
Big one is going to be commitment and staying smooth on your angle and remaining that angle through outside zone 2. After that first inside clip there, we'll get a look at it here in just a moment at that line map and how the course will be ran. And again, yeah, just commitment, staying smooth, filling all those zones, staying tight to the clips.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a very strategic for the chase driver. But first and foremost, we want to give a big thanks to G2A and Metapro being the main sponsors today for this whole series, actually for the whole series in general. I'm excited to see actually some of these drivers compete. We know a lot of these drivers, especially some of the teams from the virtual side, being the culmination of like grassroots competitions to even pro level, like the AOM boys. I know Dijon Reeves from VDC, he didn't make the top 32 today, but he still has some team members to represent the team name out here.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of big names within this bracket. Alexander Element, Sullivan, previous VDC champion. We've got Steven Hatcher in there as well. He's another VDC champion. Big names.
All right, and then right here, we're going to see the track presentation coming up shortly. And we're going to show you guys how this track is going to be laid out for all these competitors to drive. If you haven't been in a drift competition before or seen a drift comp, you're going to have a lead and chase driver. So you're going to have the lead driver. He's going to be in the right side with the cones where they go through the chicane coming in. And then there's going to be an initiation point, which is that first white line going across that track, going to outer zone 1, inner clip 1, going all the way through outer zone 2. This is where we're going to see possibly a struggle in the chase. Going to outer zone 3, flying in to this third inner clip into the final outer zone. That's where it can be possibly another choke point. What are you thinking about this whole layout in general, especially as a chase driver, Craig?
Absolutely. It's gonna be a tricky one to really match that angle and mimic what that lead car is doing. It's gonna be super important today for that lead driver to do everything that they should be doing. Anything, weird, too much left foot brake in some of these areas, it's really gonna choke that chase driver. And if contact is made and that lead driver isn't doing what they're supposed to be doing, it's gonna be on them.
Yeah, it's a little bit different, especially when you're talking about virtual and real world, like with contact. Drifting is not a contact sport, so if a little bit of a tire rub is okay, but when you're talking about in sim rounds, it's a little bit different. But right there, you see the prize pool for first, second, and third place for each round, and then the grand prize for the top 3 of the seasons it's insane. This amount of money that's going into the competition and the support that we're getting from everybody that is affiliated with this competition.
Absolutely. That grand prize there is something I wanted to actually do last year, is make my way out there. Didn't get the chance to, but maybe this year.
Yeah, and you'll see another layout. The qualifiers were yesterday and the day before. It was not streamed, but we have the top 32 today, and you're going to see the whole layout of the track. There is no really decel zones that you can see, but there is one significant one in outer zone 1, and then going into outer zone 7 on the final outer zone is going to be a big decel as well. All right, we're back on the track. You see the cars pitted up. We're getting ready for our first battle of the top 32. Getting amped up, getting riled up a little bit. This competition is going to be great. You're going to see the country flags on top of the cars. So if you guys are rooting for someone in the chat, please, by all means, spam their name in there, get amped up. We got Alexander Element is going to be in the lead. And then we're going to have in the chase, Vitaly Isaev coming in the chase. Alexander Element is a good driver, as well as Vitaly. I've seen him compete as well. He's real rowdy. I love seeing his kind of performance in the chase, being super aggressive. Alexander, what do you think about Alexander, especially what he has to do, especially in this lead?
Yeah, Alexander has really become a veteran in the virtual drifting space at this point, and Vitaly finishing top 3 in DCGP last season, so both really talented drivers coming up to the line here.
Yeah, we're waiting for our first lights. Here we go. The first battle of Virtual Drift Masters. Alexander Element in the lead. Vitaly in the chase. Alexander Element coming in with a nice e-brake initiation. Vitaly's coming in, trying to keep that proximity in the first inner clip. Outer zone 2 is money from Alexander. A little bit of a shallowing of angle. The transition is buttery smooth, but Vitaly is kind of trying to dial him in all the way through to the final outer zone. Here comes that surge right into the pocket of Alexander Element. Oh, mercy.
Yeah, what a start to the event these drivers just put on. Alexander Element out front, leading Vitaly through the course and doing a fantastic job doing so. Judges wanted those lead drivers to stay off those outside rumbles, but maintain angle through here. It is a little bit shallow there, but it's almost necessary through that zone to keep things going. And Vitaly in that chase position doing everything he's supposed to be doing, holding on to that pocket. Look at that dive there in the last and final outside zone, up the hill, and there they go across that finish line.
Yeah, he was going up there and saying, hey, I want to change your Spotify playlist real quick.
He was close enough to do so.
Hey, sometimes people want to listen to some Tay-Tay while drifting. You know, don't judge anybody. We got the second lap of this battle. Vitaly's going to be in the lead. And then we have Alexander in the chase. So if you haven't seen a drift competition, they switch sides. And they come out here to see who is boss right off the rip. Top 32. Vitaly coming in with a nice weight transfer initiation, going to that first outer zone. Inner clip 1 is good, and Alexander is on him like white on rice, all the way into inner clip 2. Money all the way with that transition, getting real close. This guy is on a tear, being on Vitaly throughout each zone. Vitaly is not as deep as we've seen Alexander, but Alexander is not only on him like white on rice, but brown sugar on Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Yeah, holy smokes. Let's take another look at it here on the replay. This time, Vitaly out front. Good initiation in, fills that first outside zone, but look at their Element right in the pocket of that door as they go through that first inside clip, out to that next outside zone. A little bit of gap established there, but look at their bumper to bumper through that transition as they come into this next outside zone, grabbing that inside clip. And then another dive there from Element going up the hill, staying with him, almost pushing him across that finish line.
Shoot, that is insane to see. This is actually going to be the first round of Drift Masters, and it's so cool to see these virtual drivers kind of live out their dream out here. It's awesome.
Absolutely, and putting on a show right here in the first battle of top 32. Let's remember, this is #1 qualifier versus the 32nd qualifier, and we just got that battle.
Yeah, it's insane. All right, we're looking for what the judges are gonna be coming over. We were in the driver's briefing a little bit. Could you explain a little bit on what was mentioned, especially changes with judging?
Yeah, a big, huge emphasis on the lead run today. You can earn more points in that lead position versus that chase. It's super important for the lead to do everything that they're supposed to be doing out front. They want them to stay off of those outside rumbles, and here in this battle, they did just that through that second outside zone, even the first one as well, coming down into the next one. there's a little bit of area that you can get onto, but really they just nailed that track edge all through that run.
I think we have come up with the decision. Judges are coming out, and it looks like Vitaly gets the win. A little bit of a majority decisions, a little split decision going on there. Love it. And now we're going to see our next battle go on.
Yeah, it's going to be Brandon Patrick and Steven Jarboe coming up next. But yeah, tough one to call from those judges. I completely understand being a split call. I think it really could have went either way.
Yeah, it definitely could have went either way with both of these drivers straight shredding in top 32. It's awesome to see that. We're going to see Brandon Patrick now. He's going to be in the lead, and Steven Jarboe is going to be in the chase. Like I was mentioning earlier about the AOM guys, they are a pretty heavy hitter in the sim community. What do you think about this battle that we're going to see right here?
Yeah, I think it's pretty evenly matched. Brandon coming off of yesterday's win at Ebisu Nishi, so maybe he's got some momentum behind him.
And we have Steven Jarboe giving him a little bit of room, getting ready for that little jump right off the rip. You have Brandon Patrick getting to the line. All right, lights are green. Brandon Patrick is going to be in the lead. Steven Jarboe is going to be in the chase. Brandon Patrick with a huge Scandinavian flick into the first outer zone, getting back on throttle, use some left foot braking, going into outer zone 2. Money. Here comes Steven Jarboe trying to keep that proximity throughout the whole time, applying some left foot brake so he doesn't slam into that door. But my goodness, Brandon Patrick all the way out here. Yes, he is using momentum from yesterday's win, and yes, he is filling out each zone.
Yeah, absolutely. Doing really everything he's supposed to be doing. Could have maybe been a little bit deeper in the angle in some of this course. But Steven doing a good job in that chase position as well. Look at there, jumps right onto the door through turn 1, going a little bit tight to the inside clip, but really that's kind of okay in that chase position. And then staying with him, look at pouring on the angle, Brandon Patrick into that outside zone, grabbing that inside clip, and here they go up the hill now, door to door. Steven staying with him, could have maybe had a little bit more angle back there, but they crossed the finish line together.
All right, we're getting them blind back up. We were watching the replay. One thing I saw was Steven Jarboe had to lose some angle to keep that proximity, but we have Steven Jarboe now in the lead. Brandon Patrick in the chase. You have the UK versus America right here. Steven Jarboe coming in with a nice initiation, keeping a nice consistent angle through inner clip 1 and outer zone 2, and Steven Jarboe is just taking him to Gapplebees throughout that inner clip all the way through. Now here comes Brandon Patrick trying to get that proximity, reeling him in like a big old fish throughout that final outer zone. Steven Jarboe out there on a tear.
Yeah, absolutely. It took a while for Brandon to really get back into the fight. Let's see if it happens all on the run up here. Yeah, a little bit of a gap established there. Steven picking up throttle quickly, grabbing that inside clip still as well. Now, it could have been maybe a little deeper on the angle there, but it was very similar to what Brandon did in his lead as well. Now, Brandon getting back into the fight, bumper to bumper through that transition, that one as well, and then riding that door all the way up the hill, doing a bit better job matching the angle, but still a huge gap established in the beginning of that course.
I do see when that initiation, Brandon Patrick did initiate, but I think he put a little bit too much sauce, got a little bit too much angle, and then Steven Jarboe was just consistent throughout that first turn. That kind of gave that gap going all the way through into outer zone 2, and then Steven Jarboe was just being there on the line with the speed and momentum that he needed. It comes in for a tit for tat. We'll see our winner from yesterday versus an AOM guy out here. Well, man, this is such a hard kind of toss up. There was mistakes on both ends, man. Mistakes on both ends, but we'll see what the judges look at. And then what else did you analyze and look at throughout the whole track?
No, I think you're spot on, and it really is a game of mistakes, right? It's so hard to be perfect everywhere. That's why we rarely see 100-point qualifying runs, and yeah, it comes down to who makes the least amount of mistakes here.
Yeah, man. The one big mistake I did see, well, it wouldn't be a mistake. It could be he needed that less angle, Steven Jarboe in the chase. But it looks like the judges have come to a decision. And it's going to Steve Jarboe getting the win, moving on, knocking out your top place person from VDC yesterday. Oh, man, that's a big
knockout there.
Oh, mercy.
Yeah, crazy. Really came down to that lead of Steven Jarboe and Brandon's chase getting sort of left behind there in turn one, with Steven not really doing anything wrong there. They want drivers to pick up that throttle early, get around that inside clip. He did exactly that. As you said, I think it was, Brandon just coming in maybe a little bit too much angle, too much sauce.
Yeah, a little bit too much angle, too much sauce. Loved it. Loved the aggressive. That's one of my favorite things. But just the commitment that Steven Jarboe had throughout their first turn just looked a lot smoother, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, we have Zach O'Sullivan, another one of your VDC boys out here. Absolute killer of a driver. And we have Danielis out here with that 180.
Yeah, Danielis Pierangauska's really putting on a show in all the other series as well. Super talented driver. It's another one it's anyone's battle here going into this.
From what you've seen these both drivers drive, who do you think is kind of like the favorite if there was odds over here?
Well, it's a difficult one to call. I believe Danielis has maybe a little bit more experience in these type of cars than maybe Zach has. So it's a tough one. Zach, last year's VDC season champion and current points leader, but still more experience in those other cars versus these.
Yeah, and Zach is also a spotter for a Formula Drift driver.
Yeah, absolutely. Ryan Literal.
Yeah, and it's funny because they compete against each other in VDC as well. But let's scratch that. We got Zach in the lead and Danielis in the chase. Zach O'Sullivan, nice weight transfer initiation going inside first outer zone. And here comes Danny coming in, trying to keep that proximity throughout that whole battle. A little bit of contact on ender clip 2. But Zach O'Sullivan is unfazed, just saying, hey, you could always bump into me, but I'll still be a lot stronger than you, going through each zone, filling it out, use some left foot braking to stabilize his car throughout that final outer zone. Oh my.
Yeah, fantastic lead out front, but Danielis applying some pressure in that chase position, especially through that last and final outside zone, really kind of pushing him across that finish line. We see Danielis jump down to a little bit more inside line, but matching Zach nicely, gives him a little boot there through that second inside clip, but here they come down to the next outside zone. Zach filling it all the way, good angle through there as well, and coming up the hill, Danielis now, look at there, almost wheel to wheel, almost pushing him up. Yeah, gives him a little tap there before the finish line.
Yeah, Zach looked like he was on one of those slot cars when I was younger. I don't know if you're
I miss those things. They're so expensive for no reason.
He set up like a slot car throughout that whole track, but does an absolute killer job as being a driver in whatever he's in, especially in VDC. I've seen him compete there. He's insane just being on rails. Now you have Danielis in the lead. Zach O'Sullivan in the chase. There you go. Let's see how they perform. Jaku Sullivan being a little bit of aggressive, going up on that run up and now diving into the pocket of Danielis and trying to keep that proximity the whole time. Danielis comes in a little bit of left for Brink to angle up in that inner clip, but my goodness, filling out each zone as much as possible. A little bit late transition, possibly going into that final inner clip, but Danielis is filling out the zone. A little bit of a bobble, but Jaku Sullivan is just on him.
Absolutely, and very similar coming up the hill there in that last and final outside zone. Once again, door to door crossing that finish line, but here we go. Entering in that first outside zone, he fills it all the way. Now we see that front wheel lock up a little bit. Either that or he's three-wheeling through it. They continue on. A little bit of left foot brake there, as you mentioned, but judges said that was okay to use a little bit there as long as they were maintaining that momentum going through there. Here they come, last and final outside zone. Zach now right there on the door, wheel to wheel, and giving him a little nudge across that finish line.
I'm a big fan of him. Everybody's been around me. I know this is our first time commentating with each other, but a lot of people love it when I get excited off of three-wheeling. All right, three-wheeling is my favorite thing to see in drifting. It's just the aggressive and brute power of these cars. But we got the judges coming up with the decision, and it's going to Zach O'Sullivan. A unanimous decision going his way.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it came into the contact.
Yeah, I think so. That little boop around that second inside clip from Danielis in that chase position, adding a little bit of angle to Zach's lead run, but he kept things going nice and smooth and still made it into that next outside zone.
Now we have Nico Stella. Nico, the streetcar name Stella. I'm gonna come up with a nickname for this young bug, man. He's such an absolute killer out here. I love watching him drive. And then you have Devin Fancher coming in here. This is gonna be a clash of titans, I feel, in the sim community. These two guys are absolute terrors out here. Who you got? Nico Stella.
I don't know. It's
here.
a tough one there.
Yeah. Nico Stella out here with the Escuco livery. AOM. Escuco versus AOM out here. Nico Stella doing a great job filling out each zones, trying to stabilize his car with some left foot brake, and then snapping transition to outer zone 3, going into inner clip 3 as well. And Devin Fancher out here just trying to keep that proximity the whole time, using some left foot brake to slow himself down. Real aggressive.
Tell you what, these top 32 battles, the very first ones here starting off the event, are absolutely insane here. Nico throwing that car in, staying off the rumble, picking up that throttle as soon as possible, grabbing that inside clip and just on a tear. Does use a little bit of that rumble on the outside, but keeps things going smoothly. And look at there in that chase position right there with him bumper to bumper once more as they come up the hill now. Pressure being applied all the way through.
Man, Devin Fancher was very, very aggressive, but then had to kind of dial it back a little bit. I feel like he had to contain himself. We'll see how he does in the lead. But we have Nico Stella out here in the chase. I could just imagine this. What were you doing when you were 10 years old, 10, 11 years old?
Not this. I was on AOL.
Here we go. Devin Fancher in the lead. Nico Stella in the chase. Devin Fancher coming in with a nice initiation, angled up a little bit more on outer zone 1, but still filling out inner clip. Money all the way through. Nico Stella is on him, real close to him. Oh, has to angle up a little bit so he doesn't make contact, but Nico Stella is still keeping momentum and fighting through each zone as aggressively as possible. How did he do that?
Oh my goodness. Maybe best chase we've seen so far, especially with the mistake out front from that lead driver. We'll take another look here, filling outside zone 1 nicely. coming down to that inside clip. But look at that chase from Nico, staying with him all the way through that next outside zone. And here we see the transition a little bit late and a little puff of smoke or dirt there, dropping just a little bit of tire. But Nico just follows him right through it, stays with him coming up the hill now. Absolutely perfect.
I don't know how he kept momentum and got back on the door. He shot a little bit forward in the pocket and was able to tuck himself back into the pocket and dive right back into the door of Devin Fancher. That's insane.
Yeah, really good adjustment.
I need to get his Spotify playlist because he was probably listening to some heavy metal or something like to get him riled up for that battle. It was insane. We got a bunch of people in chat getting amped up for Nico as well. I'm excited to see the fan base grow for sim drifting throughout each rounds, especially for with this Drift Masters coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. Bringing hopefully a lot of attention on what we enjoy over here, and judges' decision coming up. And look at there, Nico getting the win and moving on into top 16.
Nico giving us a little wave with his headlights right before the judges' decision. And Nico is such a nice and chilled kid that you'll come into the Discord, you won't even know he's in there at times because he's just vibing out and drifting with everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. And hanging with the big names too, as we see there, getting the win in top 16. He did well yesterday at Ebisu Nishi and did well in DCGP, is winning that championship last season.
Yeah, and I've met Nico. I first commentated with Nico in CNDS and then going into DCGP, and the amount of consistency Nico has is absolutely insane.
Yeah, absolutely. Really keeps up with his craft as well. As I always see him practice, and yeah, it pays off. Seat time. We can't say it enough.
Yeah, for sure. Now we having our next drivers get ready to come on to this competition. This absolute layout done very well. Had a bunch of drivers and even some of the people that have actually been to the track look at the layout and give some critiques. You're familiarized with making these kind of layouts, Craig, and how much time and effort do you have to actually invest in for these tracks?
It's a pretty good amount. So let's see, we had Ebisu Nishi just yesterday. We only had really a couple of days to put it together, but the amount of kilometers driven on it to really dial in where everything should be was close to 600 to 800 kilometers.
That's a lot.
and it's a lot of back and forth as well, do some laps and then go right back to the 3D editing software, make some changes. Yeah, back and forth.
I appreciate all the guys that make the tracks, the cars. The cars that we have here today, I've seen in chats that they're DCGP cars, but they're not. The models may be DCGP cars, but the physics as well. We talked about it probably a week ago about how they try to mimic as much as possible to real life driving, especially with the transmission and how the cars are supposed to kind of feel, especially with the tire physics. What are you thinking about these cars itself in this layout and what you're going to see in the future with Virtual Drift Masters?
Yeah, it fits well. So as you said, there are a couple of differences between those. Mainly, I'd say the power, and how the transmissions work. And then the other big one is these are new tires from, I believe, last season's DCGP cars.
Yeah,
but it's a good fit.
Man, it's definitely an awesome fit. I love seeing these guys out here. We have the G2A bracket up here. We do see our top 16 forming up. Sullivan is up there. Steven Jarboe, Nico Stella, and Vitali is in our first 2 battles of top 16. Now we're going to be on the bottom half of the left side of the bracket. We have Adrian Roncero, another Escuco driver. We have Simon Sandman, Nick Hang. That's going to be insane to watch as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Nick Hang having a breakout round just yesterday, so maybe coming off some momentum from that. A lot of really good matchups here in the top 32. I think we're going to continue seeing some door-to-door action all the way through it.
This first round is becoming to be a slugfest out here. It's going to be a kind of like a Mike Tyson fight, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. And Mike Tyson versus Mike Tyson.
Yeah, Mike Tyson versus Mike Tyson. That would be insane to watch.
Right? Can we make that happen somehow?
Well, they do have some sim boxing games and stuff like that. Well, they need to make some new ones. But anyway, we got Adrian Roncero coming out here. He's going to be in the lead versus Armands. Oh, man. Adrian Roncero with that A90 Supra. And Armands is going to be in that GR86.
Got some cool liveries coming to the line.
Yeah, and this livery over here is RTR, but it's not the RTR you guys are familiar with. It's Racing Team Riga. And coming out here to shred out some tires for the first battle of that team in Virtual Drift Masters. Adrian Roncero coming in with a nice initiation, but bobbled it a little bit going to Interclip 1, but is just smokescreen engaged throughout Interclip 2, getting so aggressive with the speed, really gripped up going into the final outer zone. And my goodness, Armands is struggling a little bit with the proximity throughout each zone.
Yeah, there was a lot of momentum out front from Adrian, but maybe leading to a couple of mistakes here as we take another look on the replay. Fills outside 1 nicely, drives down to that inside clip, really tight to that, gets around it, but there we see all of that angle come out, goes wide for the next inside clip, and that's where we see that gap established. Now he grabs that next outside zone nicely and then comes into the last and final one, and there we see that chase car back into the fight and riding that door all the way up that hill.
Yeah, it's so hard, especially with this kind of like driving style, if you've never drifted with these guys, on understanding what their tendencies are going to be doing. Adrian, he's a fast driver. He knows how to send that thing and just keep it on momentum. The bobble in the beginning possibly could have caused a little gap right off the rip, but Armands was struggling a little bit with proximity throughout the whole time, kind of like an accordion effect. But now we have Armands in the lead. We'll see how Adrian performs out here in the chase. Armands coming in with a Scandinavian flick, outer zone 1 money, and locking in to Interclip 1, shallowing up some angle to outer zone 2. When Interclip 2. Oh my goodness, here comes Adrian Roncero going in and diving into the pocket, being super aggressive and angling up to slow himself down and staying close proximity all the way through doors, baby.
Yeah, nicely done in that chase position from Adrian there as we take another look at it. Armands out front, initiating in and doing a nice job with outside zone 1 and really throughout the remainder of the course. Now he does pull out a little bit of angle there, but really stays in it nicely, grabs that inside clip as he should, just really clean lead out front. But look at all of that pressure being applied in that chase position, just bumper to bumper through every single transition through that course, and then staying with him up the hill and a little, oh no, no contact across that finish line. So close.
That was spicy, and I'm not talking about Red's hot spicy. That was sriracha, maybe even the last dab from Hot One spicy.
Yeah, absolutely. Just putting on a show there in that second half of that battle.
Got me sweating, man. I had to take off my hoodie.
It's not me.
It was great. Well, we got the judge's decision. It is a one more time.
Ooh, look at there. Yeah, I'm okay with that.
It was a good battle. So, if for people that have never watched drifting before, what's the best way to describe a one more time for those first time viewers?
Well, there are different situations that can happen sometimes. Like two big mistakes from both drivers can lead to it. But it's basically in this situation, I think it's clean it up a little bit from both of them. And run it back, and so that we can get a clear winner. There to the judges here, I don't think they thought they had a clear winner in that battle. So line them back up. We'll do it again.
Yeah, especially when it comes for tit for tat mistakes. And you see, both drivers had a good lead. Chases probably could have been a little bit more cleaned up, but we're gonna see them run it back. All right, as the young folks would say, Adrian Roncero is gonna be in the lead. And we have Armands in the chase. RTR versus Escuco. Adrian coming in with a huge flick going into that first outer zone and keeping that momentum all the way through, showing up just a little bit of angle, and now just putting on that nitrous will push first aid going into outer zone 2. Oh my goodness, the speed that Adrian Roncero is coming in. Oh, contact from Armands, but still fighting through it. Adrian out here just getting some licks out and just sending it all through the track.
Yeah, stayed committed even through the contact, and it really, I think, upset Armands in that chase position. He had to get himself back into the fight halfway through that last and final outside zone. Here we go through that first turn. This time, holding on to that angle through that second outside zone, and much cleaner down through the latter half of the course. But look at there, bumper to bumper through that transition, and there we see the contact. But again, that lead just keeps right on going. There they go, door to door across that finish line.
It's kind of like a little brother pushing the older brother. He's like, are you hurting me? And then just continuing out that final outer zone. It was insane. It's so crazy to see these guys drive, especially them being on a wheel and pedals, and they have the whole peripherals they need to actually simulate being in the car. Now we have Armands in the lead and Adrian Roncero in the chase. Comes Armands. Nice initiation to the first outer zone. Adrian coming in and mimicking the angle throughout outer zone 1 and inner clip 1. Armands had to shallow up some angle. Here comes that transition to outer zone 3, all the way through, getting that mid-line through that outer zone 3. Final outer zone, another contact in that decel zone, pushes Armands off track. And we're going to see what the judges are going to be looking at on this drone replay. Might have been a little bit of a miscommunication, let's put it that same.
Yeah, maybe coming in a little bit too hot. We'll have to take another look at it. Super snappy transitions through that portion of the course as well. Now we see a lot more angle, I think, pulled out through outside zone 2 from that lead, but that chase staying right there with him, filling these zones. Super snappy transitions here. Yeah, it seems like he's on throttle as he should, and the contact knocks him off that line. There they go across that finish line, but still very similar contact from the first half of the battle.
I'm seeing a comment in the chat, new to the series, but not sim racing. Is it a requirement to use a wheel and pedals? These guys are all using wheel and pedals. I'm pretty sure that a lot of them, I think Jaku Sullivan is using a Sim Magic or direct drive wheel, different brands. These wheels are supposed to mimic as much as possible a tactile feel. Some of these guys even have butt kickers, all right? So it kind of simulates the movement of the car to kind of get them in the zone and doing the right thing.
Yeah, even sometimes full motion rigs as well. We got our decision. Maybe a last minute deliberation?
Possibly. We're having the judges looking into this. And it looks like...
So I do, yeah, I have a little bit of information there. that it is going to be Armand's getting the win.
Armand's getting the win for that
lead,
battle.
So I'm getting lead was pushed 2 wheels off the track, which gives Armand's the win. So we'll have to let's see if we can get some maybe more information on that.
We're having these drivers line up. The next drivers you're gonna see line up is Simon and Nick Hank. We were talking about 2 class acts out here. Simon Sandman. I always think of the Metallica song whenever he comes up to the line, getting ready to line up. And we have Nick Hang out here. He's gonna let everything hang out on the track. I'm pretty sure he's gonna try to hang on to Simon's door. I don't know what other kind of puns I could do with that name.
He was hanging it all out there yesterday, I'll tell you what.
All right. Here we go. We got Simon coming out here with that S15. Nick Hang in the chase. Simon Sandman being as aggressive as he can. Look at that Scandinavian. Oh my goodness. Almost backied into that first outer zone. And going in and filling out each zone as much as possible after that contact. Oh my goodness, that initiation is a big mistake from Simon, but he is still doing it for the people out there, just putting out a smoke show. That was such an insane initiation, man.
It was. He absolutely threw it into the first turn and does a good job to get back in it. There we see some contact from that chase driver. It'll be up to those judges where they think that's too much angle there. But to get back onto the correct line is, should be noted there. As they continue on through the course, Nick maybe playing it a little safe back there after that contact in the first turn, but not anymore coming up through this last and final outside zone.
My goodness, Nick was probably wondering, like, wait, what? What's happening? Why is his headlights looking at me? That was insane. He went in so aggressive, and it was such a spectacular form right there. Nick Hang now in the lead. Simon Sandman in the chase. Nick Hang coming in with a nice flick going into that first outer zone, and Simon Sandman being super aggressive and keeping that proximity throughout outer zone 2 and inner clip 1. Here comes inner clip 2. Money transitions good. Simon Sandman is keeping that proximity as much as possible. And going into that final outer zone, shelling up some angle to surge right into the pocket. Nick Hang is out there and just shredding.
Yeah, absolutely. What a lead from Nick out front, opening the door and sort of making it easy there for Sandman in that chase position. As we take another look at it, we see that chase drive in on the inside just a little bit there, but holds that proximity nicely. We see Nick out front grabbing that inside clip, filling these outside zones as well. So we watch him smoothly come down and fill that one, come back up for the next inside clip and into the last and final outside zone, just locked into this course. Even pulls away a little bit there, so we see that angle pull out of that chase car.
Man, I'm still astonished how Simon just got back on track after just hucking it into that first outer zone.
And after the contact too.
Oh, he's such a class act when it comes into driving, especially if you ever drive with him. Even if you make contact, he'll make do with whatever he has. But we have a judge's decision, and it looks like Nick Hang is getting that win, moving on to the top 16.
Yeah, well deserved. He needs to keep up that lead run. Don't change anything.
We have the next drivers out here, Samuel and Coudi, out here with Micho. Micho, I don't think I have seen him drive in the sim world. Have you?
No, I am unfamiliar of the name, but obviously He did well enough to qualify here out of 120 drivers.
Yeah, and I'm always happy to see new people that I've never seen before compete, because it gives me a purpose to become a fan of another drive. Here we go. We have Micho in the chase. Samuel Coudi in the lead. Samuel coming in with a nice initiation. Angled up a little bit after outer zone 1, going to inner clip 1, and just shallows up with some angle. Micho is just trying to keep that proximity throughout each zone. Outer zone 3 is good from Sam, all the way into inner clip 3. Outer zone to the final lap of this lead run. Oh my goodness, Micho is coming out here and getting super aggressive towards the end.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's take another look at it here on the replay. Samuel out front and doing a good job staying off that rumble, as the judges asked of those drivers, picking up throttle early and holding some angle through outside zone 2. Maybe could have had a little bit more through the inside clip, as we see a gap established there through it. But Micho jumping right back onto the door here, coming in, sacrificing just a little bit of angle there in the beginning portion of that last and final outside zone, but matching it all right there, coming across that finish line.
It's so crazy to see how all these guys have unique liveries, and actually Sam is using one of the default liveries from DC, the Virtual Drift Masters pack that we have here. I love the variety of liveries out here. We have Micho now in the lead. Micho, the T-Dog, coming out here, baring his teeth on the track. Outer zone 1 is good. A little bit of a midline and inner clip 1, but getting that angle right to outer zone 2, filling all the way out. Momentum is great going through outer zone 3. Transition is snappy, just like how he's sinking his teeth on the track. But here comes Sam Coudi all the way through to the final outer zone.
Yeah, doing pretty well out front. We did see a couple of little hiccups there out front, but Samuel doing a good job in that chase position to just follow the line. I think that lead, Micho, could have been a little bit deeper on outside zone 1, and then goes a little bit wide and then up onto that rumble strip. Judges asking those lead drivers to stay off of those outside rumble strips. Does well here in the later part of this course, grabbing that inside clip and then filling this outside zone very cleanly going up this hill. But look at there, Sam staying right with him.
Man, it was... There's going to be a lot of tit for tat on this one, I'm thinking, from the judges, but we have a decision from the judges. And we're going to see what they decide. I'm going to slide him left for Coudi, slide him right for T-Dog. And it's going to Coudi. He's getting the win. Unanimous decision.
Yeah, great job from Samuel Coudi there. Again, that lead just locked in, doing everything he needs to, and then staying with that lead car out front in his chase position, even with those small mistakes out front.
Yeah, man, Craig, this bracket is turning out to be insane. We're towards our final battle on the left side of this bracket. We have Adam, Zaleski, and Robert. And man, these guys are out here just straight shredding on the left side of the bracket. Having them line up. Adam is in the lead. Robert is in the chase. Here we go. Adam is in the lead with that GR86 coming in with a nice initiation. Almost a side-by-side initiation from Robert. Going into inner clip 1 is starting to reel in that proximity and a little bit of a bobble in the chase. Adam angles up to outer zone 3. Fills it out going to inner clip 2 all the way through that final outer zone. A little bit of a bobble throughout the whole track from Robert.
Yeah, Robert seemed to struggle a little bit back there in that chase position against Adam Zaleski's lead run here. We see Adam use just a little bit of that rumble strip, but I don't think he decel at all. He just threw it in, picked up throttle immediately, and kept things going. There we see almost straight from Robert and kind of pushing Adam into some more angle and making him hold on to it for maybe longer than he wanted to, but they keep things going anyway now, and being pushed up the hill from Robert in that chase position is Adam Zaleski across that finish line.
Adam Zaleski did a fantastic job through each zone. I think there was possibly a slight contact on that final transition to the final under zone from Robert in the chase. Didn't give him enough room, but we're going to have Robert now in the lead. And Adam Zaleski in the chase. Here he comes. Robert, a super aggressive initiation and locks in the angle all the way through the first turn going to outer zone 2. Here comes Adam, keeping that proximity throughout the whole zone and uses some left foot braking to keep there. Oh no, Robert goes off track, makes his back 2 tires a lawnmower all the way through and coming in to the final outer zone. That is a big mistake from Robert.
Yeah, huge mistake. We'll take another look here on the replay, analyze this a little bit, see if we can see what happened there as they enter in, filling outside zone 1. Nicely good angle through turn 1 as well. Adam right there with him, applying the pressure, matching the angle through outside zone 2. And here they come down into this portion of the course where we see Robert, just independently go way wide, maybe transition a little bit late there on the course. They keep things going anyway, especially with Adam in that chase position. Sometimes big mistakes like that, it's hard to jump right back in line and be where you need to be, but Adam did just that.
Yeah, I love drivers that even though they make a mistake on the track, they'll keep fighting through, especially in the virtual side. And a real world side, it's kind of hard to do that. But it's going into the judge's decision. They're probably going to look at what's going on, especially on replay wise.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you said, being more difficult in the real space, absolutely. I think that would have been a bit violent there, going off the track too wide for that third outside zone. Would have been absolutely insane. And there it is, Adam Zaleski getting the win, moving on into the top 16. And that's a real-world driver coming over from the Drift Masters and doing the virtual one here.
It's so cool to see that. And especially when it's not only the real-world drivers, the pro drivers coming into the sim world, but it's just the camaraderie that all these guys have. Like we said before, Sullivan, he is a spotter for Brian Literal. And they compete against each other in the virtual space, but they're teammates.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're teammates in the virtual space as well. They definitely rock the same similar liveries and everything, and really help each other through the virtual space as well, which then in turn sometimes leads to setting the car up a certain way for an upcoming
All right. We also have Darius Ostreika out here. That is a fighting pair you'll see as well throughout competitions in the sim world. Darius versus Martinez. Those battles are insane to watch.
Yeah, they sure are. Darius has to be one of the smoothest drivers I know on the sim. Easy.
Yeah. He is very smooth, like a nice cup of coffee on a nice, cool summer morning. You see the sun rising. It's so romantic when you see him drive.
If that's how you feel about it, yeah.
Oh, man. Here we go. We got Powell going to be in the lead and Kazuki in the chase. Yeah, I look at drifting as a ballet. A ballet.
Oh, it very much is. Absolutely.
Here we go. We got Powell in the lead. Kazuki in the chase. Kazuki Fukushi. It's going to be a tongue twister for me, but we're just going to call it Kazuki.
Yeah, and looking at the, on our side, names above those cars, Kazuki is red over there. Now he's yellow. Here we go.
Here we go. Powell in the lead. Nice initiation from Powell, and then angling up afterwards to go into interclip 1. Powell is filling out the zone. Oh, it looks like a possible straight in from the chase driver on interclip 2, but he's still fighting through to keep that proximity to the final outer zone all the way through. Powell is keeping a mid to low line and now filling out the final outer zone.
So we may get a replay here. Yeah, I believe we are, but I saw coming through the chat that it was a restart. Maybe Pavel taking a little bit too long there. I saw the light was green for quite some time before he left, so I think we are going to get a full rerun as they made it all the way through the course. But maybe a good teaser here. Look at Kazuki doing a fantastic job in that chase position, staying with Pavel Korpolinski, coming into the last and final outside zone. Here they come. But again, I believe this run is null, and we're going to run it back.
Yeah, it looked like there was a false start on it. Now we have Powell now in the lead still, coming in with a nice initiation, going to that first outer zone, and holding that angle, now angling up into interclip 1, money, and here comes Kazuki, and struggling with that angle through outer zone 2, but here comes Powell just filling out each zone, being super aggressive with the throttle modulation all the way in to that final outer zone and getting all of that zone, but Kazuki is right there with close proximity.
Yeah, absolutely. And it did seem like maybe a teaser as we take another look here at the replay. This run absolutely counts. Pavel Korpolinski throwing it in nicely, and there we see some aggression from Kazuki in that chase position, but really gets left behind here. Pavel staying on angle through that inside clip as they continue on. Kazuki getting himself back into the fight now. A little late on that transition, but nails that one as they come into the last and final outside zone up this hill. Kazuki staying with him, but look at all that angle being poured on by Pavel out front.
Man, now we have Kazuki in the lead and then Pavel in the chase. This is the first battle of our top 32 on the right side of the bracket. See how Powell performs out here. Roll and start into Kazuki. Kazuki out here just using a nice, generous flick into that first outer zone. Use some left foot brake into angle up on outer zone 1. Interclip 1 is fantastic. And here comes Powell just being as aggressive as possible, trying to anticipate each movement. A little bit of a tire drop from the chase driver. And going in to the final interclip, all the way to the final outer zone. Here comes Powell just driving there. Powell driving all the way through to that final outer zone.
Yeah, clean lead out front from Kazuki, but I think Pavel did everything he needed to in that chase position to maybe seal the deal here as we take another look. Kazuki throwing that big car in and picking up throttle, grabbing that inside clip. But look at Pavel right there with him, staying with him through outside too, and staying in angle where we saw Kazuki sort of really fall out of it and lose pace. Pavel falling back just a little bit there, but then doing a good job to reeling back in. Here we go, last and final outside zone. Kazuki filling it all the way to that track edge. And there they go, finishing up their battle here in the top 32.
It's so cool. We were talking about how the real life drivers coming out here to shred tires on the virtual side, and it's a lot of people just sometimes just think, oh, it's just a video game. Some of these guys out here, when you see them drive on the sim and then go into real world drifting, it sometimes goes hand in hand at times.
Yeah, absolutely. There's plenty of drivers that use all of these competitions for really nerve training sometimes, even if it's just that, but then dialing in their setups for the real thing as well. And to me, a lot of the time, especially when those real drivers come over to the sim and they really get it, their style and everything just translates right to the sim.
And we're seeing the judges coming with the decision. Powell gets the win, unanimous. Moves on to the top 16.
And well-deserved win there, especially that big mistake from Kazuki in that chase position, but then Pavel nailing that lead run.
Yeah, you back to your point earlier about when people from the real world come into the sim wise and how their style comes into it. I've seen it with the Formula Drift drivers as well that go into it. What was it? Rome Charpentier coming out and shredding tires with some of the guys on the sim, and you see his tenacity and his style translate very well on the sim. Now we have David versus Reese Tatterson. Reese Tatterson in the chase, coming in with a nice initiation, staying right to the pocket and hucking it as close as possible, giving David no room for error. David is filling out each zone, diving into that inner clip like an absolute gangster. Outer zone 3 is good. Reese transitions a little bit too early on that final inner clip, but now is diving right back into the pocket and staying door to door.
Yeah, it does a good job to get back in it, but can he give up that mistake here, even if it's just the top 32? If we've seen with these battles, take a look at the replay here. Reese jumping right onto the door there immediately as they go into this outside zone 2. Good job out front. They make their transition. Reese still with him here into this outside zone, but here, as you pointed out, just transitioned a little bit too early, got a little bit off. As we see it on the drone, he did a lot better with it than I honestly thought he did, and there he is across the finish line, door to door with him.
Reese Tatterson, absolute slayer out here as well. One of the titans in the sim community. Also a teammate of Alan Hines on the virtual wise. Reese Tatterson coming in the lead. And David in the chase. Reese Tatterson coming in very smooth on that initiation and then trying to dive right back into that inner clip, keeping that midline. Here comes David, keeping that proximity and mimicking Reese Tatterson as Reese Tatterson angles up, huge angle to outer zone 3 and coming into inner clip 3, money all the way through, keeping a shallow line on the final outer zone, but now trying to get as deep as possible towards the end of that zone.
Yeah, surprising to see some more mistakes out front from Reese Tatterson in that lead position. As we take another look here on the replay, Reese entering in, fills outside zone 1 pretty well, but goes a little bit wide for inside clip. He could have been a little bit tighter, and then up onto that rumble strip quite a bit. Goes a little bit wide for that next inside clip as well. And here we see him come up shallow once more through the inside clip, and then as you pointed out, not quite filling this last and final outside zone while being just chased down up that hill.
Man, David out there just reeling the competition in and just hook, line, and sinker, it seems like. Just being as aggressive as possible, applying the pressure where it needed to be. It's very strategic on these guys, what they need to do on each run, on the chase, and on the lead. We got the judges' decision coming up, and it looks like David gets the win and moves on. Reese Tatterson gets knocked out.
Yeah, David
Man.
putting on a show here in the top 32, really taking the fight to Reese. Reese making a couple of mistakes in it, as we talked about earlier. It really comes down to a game of mistakes. Try and be as perfect as you can, but that doesn't always happen.
We have Daniel Andreev versus Virgil Choisin. Daniel
Andreev really coming into his own here on the simulator and just showing out and getting better each and every round I see him compete in.
Oh, yeah. I was just about to say that. Daniel Andreev is an absolute gangster as well as a competitor. With Virgil, I'm not too familiar with this guy competing, but we'll see how he performs. Daniel Andreev is out here with that 180. Very aggressive flick into that first outer zone, and a little bit of a bobble going into inner clip 1, all the way to outer zone 2. Tire drop onto that rumble strip, but still fighting through. Diving in to that inner clip is really smooth and consistent. Daniel Andreev, front tires are just fighting to stay on track, but still getting super aggressive. But Virgil out there just showing them what he's got.
Yeah, I was going to say as well that I haven't heard much from Virgil. I'm not familiar with who he is, but we're familiar now. He put on a really good chase run against Daniel Andreev. Now I'm considering one of the giants here on the sim, as we see that lead run just locked into these outside zones, these inner clips, doing everything he's supposed to be doing, and really just dialed in on the angle. Very little wavering, if any at all, making it easier for that chase. But Virgil taking advantage and really putting on a show in that chase run.
Yep, and we're going to see the second lap. And just for you, William, I'm going to say this chase run is going to be gangster. And going in to Virgil, coming in with a nice, super clean initiation to the first outer zone. Inner clip 1 is money, all the way to outer zone 2. A little bit of a more shallow angle compared to Daniel, but coming in outer zone 2 is fantastic. In 3, super aggressive angle going to outer 3. Oh my goodness, the final outer zone, there's a tire drop from Virgil.
Yeah, just a little bit there at the beginning of that last and final outside zone there, huh? We'll take another look. Daniel in the chase this time. Look at there, already on the bumper before they even initiate, and then jumps right on it. Now he is sacrificing quite a bit of angle there in that chase, but there we see Virgil draw out of that chase quite a bit, or excuse me, that angle through outside zone 2. They keep things going. Daniel stays with him anyway. Look at their bumper to bumper, falls back just a little bit, jumps on a little bit tighter line is Daniel, but Virgil goes a little bit too wide in that lead position. Tough one to maybe call here. Maybe one more time.
I think with the split-second decision that Daniel had in the final outer zone of diving a little bit forward in the pocket and just staying on track while Virgil was dropping the tire was a very, very well-placed decision going into it. It comes into the fact of a tit for tat right now. We're seeing the judges come up with a decision. Looks like Daniel Andreev gets the win. We're moving on. I want to see Virgil compete more. I'm excited to see how he does on the future rounds.
Yeah, I don't think that's the last time we're going to see Virgil at all. Short 120 drivers in this competition, all trying to qualify into the top 32. But it looks like he's got the talent in him to continue qualifying each and every round.
Oh, yeah. Here we go. We got Krzysztof Rasa in the chase. And Darius Ostreika. Here he comes as the lead driver. Oh, looks like he might have made some contact with that final cone, but he's still fighting through, going to that side of zone. Oh my goodness. Getting a mid-line on that inner clip. I thought he was going to overshoot it, but Darius is still getting a nice clean line throughout each run. And Krzysztof is staying right in the pocket and diving in when he needs to and getting that angle, left foot braking all the way through to the final outer zone doors.
Yeah, holy pressure there in that chase position. Just bumper to bumper through some of those transitions with Darius Ostreika out front. As we take another look at it, Darius doing a nice job going wide there. Really has to try and drive that car in for the inside clip. Misses it just a little bit. Could have been tighter, but grabs outside zone 2 nicely. The next inside clip, and now he's back on the line. But look at that chase there from Kristaps. Bumper to bumper, jumps onto the door, while Darius could have been a little bit deeper here in this last and final outside zone, going up the hill and crossing that finish line.
Yeah, and some of these drivers do have spotters as well. It's so funny to see that you could translate real life teams to virtualize. That spotter is probably telling Darius, you need to door every portion of this track. Here comes Kristaps coming in with the initiation, angling up and diving into inner clip 1, and here comes Darius Ostreika keeping right into the pocket as much as possible, mirroring angle, a little bit of a left foot brake from Kristaps in that inner clip 2. Oh no, Kristaps goes off track, and Darius Ostreika is just coming in and just having a good time right now, knowing that he went off track is gonna cause a major flaw in the decision.
Big mistake here. We'll take a closer look with this drone camera here as we see Kristaps enter in nicely there. A lot of angle that he draws on quickly, grabbing that inside clip. Darius Ostreika in that chase position right there with him through that next inner clip. Here we go. Yeah, another independent, little bit late on the transition, goes off track, similar to what we saw earlier. Darius jumping back into the pocket though in this last and final outside zone. Man, it's really just going to come down to that again. Game of mistakes.
Yeah, big mistake from him. Unfortunate, but the judges seem to have a decision right off the rip. Left for Darius, right for Kristaps. And it's going all 3 to the left for Darius Ostreika. That's on the chat. Massive lawnmower. Oh man.
You can't say that.
No. That's unfortunate. I think it was just possibly the excitement he had on the previous lap. He's like, all right, all I gotta do is set up a clean lap. I'm good to go. And sometimes that just psychs you out psychologically and sets you up for failure at times. I tend to think of every lap as my final lap.
Yeah, absolutely. It's also a really important one too, to get your practice in and do multiple laps back to back, rather than it's very easy to finish a run and then just reset back to pit. Now you have fresh tires, but here in competition, drivers are turning around, going back to the start, and have some hotter tires and more heat in those tires.
Nickname Jaku for Anestis. First time I saw him, I couldn't pronounce his name, and Jaku Bellis, he told me later, but I'm like, you know what? I'm sticking to Jaku. I love it.
It's fitting.
Yeah. One of the other commentators is like, you've been watching Star Wars too much. I'm like, hey, I like Disney. Don't judge me. Another guy we have out here that's pretty new to the professional scene, I would say, is Tyler Duck. Florida native, great driver. He's very, how his style is, he does a little to no left foot brake unless he really needs to. He's very aggressive with his style and his angle and his momentum. He doesn't like to depend on e-brake as much compared to some drivers, or even just keeping that car manipulated with that left foot brake. He actually uses a lot of the clutch.
Okay, yeah, definitely. It's one of the tools you could use.
Yeah, it was funny. I had a conversation with some of these drivers. A lot of these drivers have sat down and had conversations with them, and they explained to me like what are their styles, who they like. Tyler Duck explained that he loved watching Vaughn Gittin drive. Some of these guys are big Chelsea Denova fans, or even a lot of different competitors out there that I'm not even familiar with. You got some guys that are coached by Olaf Eriksson, another familiar name for everybody in the sim community.
Yeah, I've seen a few of those popping up, which I know Olaf, I believe he sponsors for Adam Zaleski still in Drift Masters.
Yeah. Well, now we have our first battle. Over here, Stanislav Terasov versus Andreev Klenberg. Stanislav coming in with a nice initiation, going into that first outer zone, and oh my goodness, Andreev just dives right into the pocket, right off the rip, but then loses that proximity in outer zone 2, going into interclip 2. Stanislav is filling out that first, second, and third outer zone like an absolute monster into that final outer zone. Real consistent, but my goodness, Andreev is keeping that proximity throughout the track, even though that little slinky effect happened towards the middle of the track.
Yeah, it sure did, but he dealt with it nicely. As we take another look here, Stanislav throwing that car into outside zone 1, doing a really good job, grabbing that inside clip and pulling a little bit of space in between them two, but does pull out of that angle for outside zone 2. As they continue on now, back into the fight is Andreev, and bumper to bumper there through that last and final transition up the hill. Look at Stanislav just right there on that track edge, as he should be, crossing the finish line door to door.
My goodness. You have Stanislav rolling up. He's probably changing his song going up to the line, trying to get himself hyped up. We have Andreev coming out here in the lead now. Saw how he did in the chase. We'll see how he does in the lead. And Stanislav is in the chase, trying to be as aggressive as possible and not leave it as much to the judge's decision and letting them know what he has to do. Andreev is coming out here, filling out first outer zone. Interclip 1 is good. A little bit of a bobble going from outer zone 2 to interclip 2. Huge angle. Oh my goodness. And Andreev just goes right off track into the wall. Unfortunate for Andreev, as Stanislav is just filling out each zone, putting out a smoke show. My goodness, that thing tends to bite back on him.
Yeah, I think he did the right thing too in bailing on it. And I think it all started there from the initiation. He goes a little bit wide and then wide for the inside clip. Now we see him way up onto the rumble strip there, and it starts to put him offline, makes that late transition, really pours on the angle, and yeah, they were coming to a halt quickly, so he just bailed on the run. Stanislav continues on, still in that last and final outside zone.
Judge is going to be looking at it real close, and then the people are looking at it as well from the drone replay. Man, it's unfortunate to see that kind of like snap back on some of these drivers, but we have the judge's decision coming up. And it's Terasov gets the win, moves on to the top 16. And our next battle is gonna be very exciting to see. We have Stanislav Kurchenko versus Andreev Klenberg. Excuse me. Alexander Jager. Yeah,
yep,
I read that wrong.
This is Kirichenko. I'm not too familiar with, but looks like he's coming out in the Camaro, and I like it.
Oh, American muscle, baby. Here comes Stanislav. Stanislav versus Alexander Jager. Jager coming in and going into the pocket of that big old Camaro. A little bit of contact on inner clip 1. And Stanislav is just fighting through, getting super aggressive, going into inner clip 2. Huge angle going to outer zone 3, filling it out. Here comes Alexander trying to dive in, reel in. And a little bit of a tire drop from Stanislav on that final outer zone. Another contact from Alexander.
Yeah, man. Alexander pushing hard in that chase position. Maybe a little bit too hard, maybe a little bit too aggressive. Evely, take another look. Stanislav could have been a little bit deeper on 1, but there's some contact sort of pushing him offline. I think being up onto that rumble strip for outside zone 2 was maybe to blame on Alexander's contact there around that inside clip. But they continue on anyway, jumping back onto that bumper, and then the door of that Camaro out front is Alexander Jager, and there's that little bit of contact across that finish line.
Here we go. We have Alexander Jager in the lead. And Stanislav Kirichenko in the chase with that Camaro. American muscle, baby. I'm so happy to see it in the Virtual Drift Masters. We'll see what this entails when the lights come back on. Looks like there might be an issue, mechanical or equipment issue going on. Oh, there we go. Alexander Jager in the lead. Stanislav in the chase. Alexander, nice initiation to the first outer zone. Stanislav is keeping that proximity, giving him some room to shallow up the angle to dive right back into the pocket. Here comes the transition, left foot braking from the chase driver to dive right back into the pocket. Alexander escaping a nice line throughout each zone. Possible tire drop on that final outer zone. A little bit of a bobble from Stanislav.
Yeah, Alexander with a ton of momentum out front, pulling away just a little bit from that Camaro of Kirichenko in that chase position. As we take another look, Stanislav jumping on the door quickly, staying with him, but there we see that gap start to establish. Stanislav taking out some angle of that big Camaro in that chase position to stay with him right there on the bumper. But here, a lot of left foot brake used by Alexander. We see some dirt pop up, goes a little bit wide, and then 2 inside for the inside clip, goes maybe a little bit wide there. It's so hard to tell there right on that track edge. As they cross that finish line, we go to the judges.
Oh my goodness. I'm loving the comments in the chat. It's very funny to see everybody's having a good time while watching these battles. Love it. It's a favorite part of Sim World. It's exciting to see the amount of comedy that some of these guys love to embrace.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things I love too is Sim World is it's so accessible for really anyone to get into.
Ronnie saying this is the best Roblox drift comp I've seen so far. Oh man, I'm seeing a lot of that, and I'm trying so hard not to giggle while I'm commentating. It's great. I love that aspect of it. We're seeing the judges come up with the decision. Left for Kirichenko, right for Jager. And it looks like 2 for Jager. Jager moves on and gets the win.
Yeah, well done from Alexander Jager. I think that third judge went for a one more time, but 2 versus 1.
Yeah. Now, the David and Goliath story over here. Tyler Duck versus Ernestus Jaku Bellis. Tyler Duck. A lot of people will see ducks in chat. The David is Tyler, and the Goliath is Ernestus. Let's see this battle out here. Oh my, this is a top 32 battle too, man.
All of these battles have been absolutely insane. And again, top 32.
Top 32. Ernestus Jaku in the lead. Tyler Duque in the chase. Ernestus Jaku coming in with a nice fill out on the first outer zone. Tyler Duck being super aggressive, trying to dive into the pocket on inner clip 1. Probably putts to that cone. Ernestus Jaku is just filling out each zone, keeping a nice line, consistent angle. Tyler Duck is fighting to try to keep that proximity. Angles up, but then dives right back into the pocket of Jaku Bellis all the way through the final outer zone. How did he keep that?
Yeah, nicely done by both of them. Now, a point of emphasis, though. I believe judges didn't want to see a ton of angle through that last and final inside clip, so we'll take another look at it here on this drone camera as they work their way out to outside zone 2, filling it nicely. And look at Tyler right there in that chase position, sticking with Ernestus out front. Does go a little bit wide there. Yeah, quite a bit of angle through that inside clip. The point is to the lead really hold that momentum. They don't want to see him slowing down through that inside clip. They want to see him use the decel coming into the last and final outside zone. So after that final transition,
we have Tyler Duck gonna be doing the second lap in the lead, and Jaku Bellis in the chase. Tyler Duck with that E36 coming in. Nice initiation, locking an angle. Here comes Jaku Bellis just trying to keep that proximity throughout each zone. Tyler Duck doing a fantastic job. A little bit mid-line on that inner clip too. But Tyler Duck is filling out each zone, using a little bit of left foot braking, but then locking that thing right in to the final outer zone, stabilizing himself and just using all momentum throughout the whole track.
Yeah, fantastic lead from Tyler Duck out front. Ernestus giving chase here in that Supra, following him closely indeed, jumping right onto the door immediately through that initiation, grabbing the inside clip nicely is Tyler. Works out a little bit of rumble strip, and then maybe could have been a little bit deeper on the angle through that next inside clip, but nicely done here coming into that outside zone, grabbing that inside clip. Ernestus dealing with that section of the course a little bit better, but I think Tyler maybe held his momentum a little bit better through there. It's going to come down to that, I think, and it is up to our judges.
It's crazy to see this change of pace. Jaku, I'm used to seeing him in the A90. Tyler Duck, he has competed in that BMW quite a bit, but he likes to switch different cars in each competition. But it looks like Jaku gets the win and moves on to the top 16. Great battle from both of the drivers on that one.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Tyler needs to hit up Big Duck Club, baby.
I see what you did there.
I mean, he's out here in the E36 and everything, you know, as well. It fits.
He could change his horn sound to a
as
quack.
they say. If it fits, it ships.
All right, next battle, we got Lucas Pasquini versus Steven Hatcher. Lucas Pasquini, AOM member, in the lead, and then Steven Hatcher in the chase. Lucas Pasquini with a super aggressive initiation, and Steven just locks in angle and uses some of that angle to slow himself down from not making contact with Lucas. But Lucas is filling out each zone, keeping a nice consistent line and going all the way through. Here comes Steven Hatcher to keep that proximity throughout each zone and dives super close to Lucas, almost makes contact, and then scoots his tail right back into the pocket.
Yeah, he sure did. Maybe even went a little bit too far on the inside there. Wow, Ukash didn't quite fill the zone, so maybe even worse there. We see the mistake you pointed out, a little bit too much angle in that first initiation. Steven falling back quite a bit, gets back into the battle here against Ukash out front, doing what he needs to do. Lots of angle through there, keeps up that momentum, and then it could have been a little bit deeper there. We see Steven quite a bit on the inside, but then falls right back into that pocket and keeps things going.
Now we got them switching sides. Lucas Pasquini in the chase. Stephen Hatcher in the lead. Stephen Hatcher, man, these guys are out here just putting out a show. Stephen Hatcher with that BMW coming in with a nice initiation, a little bit e-brake pull into that first outer zone, but getting back on throttle, going into interclip 1. A little bit of a bobble from both drivers going to outer zone 2. Interclip 2 is fantastic. Stephen Hatcher going all the way through outer zone 3, filling it out. Even interclip 3 as well. Stephen Hatcher is riding that outside white line all the way through. And Lucas is right there as well.
Yeah, nicely done from Steven out front, but I think Ukash did what he needed to do in that chase position. As we take another look here, Steven filling outside zone 1, drives that car back down to the inside clip. Could maybe been a little bit tighter, but handles that next outside zone nicely in the inside kill it. But Ukash, again, right there in that chase position, staying smooth, staying where he needs to be. Nothing too crazy here, but this last and final outside zone right there with Steven almost nudging him across the finish line. And we go to our judges for the last time here in the top 32.
It's going to be exciting to see the top 16. We're going to be taking a 15-minute break after we show the bracket after this judgment of this battle. But, man, super exciting. We'll see how the judges deliberate. These two absolute savages out here.
Yeah, really everyone here in the top 32 today has just put on a show and yeah, doing fantastic. It's only going to get, I think, even more crazy as we work our way through this bracket.
Judges have come to a decision. And it's going to a one more time.
Yeah, it looks like we have maybe one judge choose Ukash.
Yeah, it looks like it was one judge that chose Ukash. So we're having a one more time battle.
Yeah, they'll reset back to that pit, get some new tires, new car even, and come on back to the line.
The top 32. Lucas Pasquini in the lead. Stephen Hatcher in the chase. Lucas trying to get that nice run up. Really nice aggressive initiation. Angles up. Money. And here comes Stephen Hatcher trying to keep that proximity. Loses it a little bit. Now trying to dive back into the pocket. Here comes outer zone 3 from Lucas Pasquini. Filling it all the way out. A little bit of contact on that transition. And that upsets Steven a little bit on the chase. But now that final outer zone is filled out from Lucas.
Yeah, it seemed to upset that lead car as well. Steven maybe being a little bit too aggressive in that portion of the course. As we take another look here, getting onto that line quickly is Lucas out front, filling that next outside zone. Good transition as well. Here we see Steven really reeling him in and doesn't quite fall back enough to let that transition happen. And makes contact, upsets that lead, but they get right back into it for the last and final zone and finish out the first half of there one more time.
And we're going to have Stephen Hatcher in the lead again. Lucas in the chase. Stephen Hatcher coming out here with that BMW. See how clean his lead run is. Nice e-brake pull into that first outer zone. Getting back on throttle, diving into that first inner clip. Money. All the way through. Here comes Lucas Pasquini to try to get that proximity. Has to shallow up some angle, but Stephen Hatcher has used some left foot braking to get himself into the outer zone 3, but going into the final outer zone, Steven Atcher does a fantastic job filling out the zone. Here comes Lucas Pasquini, a little bit conservative on the chase from Lucas.
Yeah, maybe a smart play there. He still remains some decent proximity as we go back to this replay here. Steven filling outside zone 1, tight to that inside clip on a really good lead line. Uses just a little bit of that rumble for some more angle. As you pointed out, some left foot brake coming into that outside zone, keeping things going. Nicely done. Could have been a little bit deeper on the last and final one at the beginning. He does end up working that car out there, but I think it's going to come down to that contact in the first half of the one more time battle between these two.
Judges are coming up with the decision. And it looks like Lucas Pasquini gets the win and moves on to the top 16. And right here has been an exciting competition. We have a huge top 16 bracket going on. Craig, what do you think is so far?
Yeah, absolutely insane. I'm super surprised here through this top 32. I shouldn't be with these names that are up on that board. Every single one of these drivers, win or lose, put on a show there in the top 32, and we've got some exciting top 16 battles upon us.
And with that being said, we'll be taking a 15-minute break, and then we'll be back for the top 16. Back to virtual Drift Masters. We are at our top 16 battles, and no, this is not Roblox, Minecraft. This is Assetto Corsa. This is the virtual side, brought to you by MetaPro and G2A. I want to thank you guys for coming back. My name is Jonathan Tiny Warbe, and I'm here with my main man, my partner in crime, Craig. How you doing, Craig?
I'm doing good. What exciting battles we had in the top 32. Now heading into the top 16, I think it's only going to get even more exciting from here on out. Some tough battles coming up here shortly, and some big names going to battle it out for that first place position here in round one at Ricardo Tormo.
Yeah, man, the bracket started out insane with some heavy hitter competition. We're going to see some heavy hitters right off the beginning of this top 16 battles. Vali versus Steven Jarboe, Jaku Sullivan versus Nico, Stella, and those two battles right there are insane. And especially the winner moves on, and it's going to be another heavy hitter battle in the top 8, and it goes on throughout the whole bracket.
Yeah, absolutely. And both of the real life Drift Masters drivers, Adam Zaleski and Pavel Korpolinski, moving on against some veterans in the virtual space. Really, I mean, Pavel, he has a lot of seat time on the sim as well, especially with these cars. Adam too, but just showing out, doing everything that they're supposed to do. And it's so fun to watch their style and the way they tackle a course just translate right on into the sim.
Exactly. And when it comes into Powell out there, man, he was just straight pile driving each zone. All right, I think that's gonna be my nickname for Powell. Powell, the power driver. He's absolutely shredding out there from real life to virtual. Very unique kind of criteria you'll see in a competition side in sim world.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of styles here in this competition here today. And again, just putting on a crazy, ridiculous show, door to door, all the way through those top 32 battles.
Yeah, not only on the right side of this bracket, you would see also Ernestus. It moved on to the top 16, but that was a close battle against Tyler Duck, a David and Goliath story right there. And even when you're talking about Darius Ostreika out there just straight shredding, being as consistent as he normally is. We also talked about how he sometimes competes against his brother, and that's a unique kind of standpoint right there. Another veteran of the game that got knocked out in the top 32 is Reese Tatterson. That's so surprising.
Yeah, just again, game of mistakes. Reese making a couple of mistakes in both his lead and chase. Really just kind of handing the win over to David. But David doing a good job in making much less mistakes. Really nailed his lead run and then did what he needed to do in that chase to follow Reese through that course. But that's, not going to be the last time we see Reese here in this competition at all.
Oh, no, absolutely not. A big choke, wouldn't say choke point. Something that we see unique in this track, or more not unique, but what we've seen throughout the whole battles is that initiation sets you up on a make or break moment, and especially if you, as a lead driver, if you huck that thing as hard as possible and the chase driver can't keep up with that initiation, that could either crucify you or actually get you in the benefit of the doubt of winning that lead lap.
Yeah, and it's really important to stay on angle through outside zone 2 and then make that transition right there that we just saw on the screen on time. And we saw multiple drivers now making that mistake, making that transition maybe just a little bit too late, and then going off course for that next outside zone.
I'm super excited. And with the top battles are starting, or top 16 battles starting to come up, we have our first battle about to start. It is going to be Vali versus Steven Jarboe.
Yeah, I think a big matchup coming up. Vali finishing top 3 in DCGP's competition. Cars here today, very similar, not quite the same, but very similar. And then Steven Jarboe really throwing down in the top 32 versus Brandon Patrick, who has been on a tear in the virtual space.
Yeah. and you got Steven Jarboe also representing the AOM team members out here. They're providing to be a really big force. We got Steven Jarboe now in the lead and Vitaly in the chase. Steven Jarboe coming in with a nice initiation to the first outer zone. A little bit e-brake. Oh, a little bit of a bobble going to interclip 1, but still hucking it in there. Kind of slowing down a little bit to get that angle all the way into interclip 2. Money all the way to outer zone 3. Steven Jarboe is now putting on the speed. Little to no left foot brake and stabilizing himself. A big bobble from Vitaly on the final outer zone. Unfortunate for him.
Really falling back there at the beginning of that last and final outside zone. Now, I don't know if we'll be able to hear it here on the replay, but somebody was a little shaky picking up throttle there through the initiation and outside zone 1. But look at there, Vitaly following Steven Jarboe through the course nicely, but Steven on a really good lead line here, filling these zones, grabbing that inside clip. And here, let's see if we can see what happens. Yeah, just picks up throttle and leaves him behind there for a second, and Vitaly has to catch back up.
Yeah, we in outside zone 2, that's the tricky part. Outside zone 2, interclip 1 to outside zone 2, they kind of got to find the nice happy medium so they can have that momentum carrying through at interclip 2. But now we have Vitaly in the lead, Steven Jarboe in the chase. Here we go. Vitaly coming out here, trying to get as much speed as he needs to get into that initiation e-brake and into that first outer zone. Here comes Steven Jarboe, uses some left foot braking to keep that proximity, shallowing up angle to get right into the pocket, but he's struggling with that proximity. And now here comes Vitaly shredding tires through outer zone 3, and Steven Jarboe is using some left foot braking to keep that momentum going and going right into the pocket, being as aggressive as he needs to be.
Yeah, nicely done in that last and final outside zone from both of those drivers. Steven doing a good job in that chase, jumping right onto the door in turn 1, follows him right through that inside clip, falls back just a little bit coming into outside zone 2, but matching the angle nicely of Vitaly out front. Vitaly coming down into this next outside zone, fills it all the way to that track edge. Look at there, bumper to bumper, almost some contact through those transitions. And there they go up this final outside zone. Steven right there in that chase, crossing the finish line.
Super consistent from Steven. It's great to see that. The amount of aggression and class he has as a driver. And what I mean by that is just he knows when to be aggressive and he knows when to kind of like chill out. Let me stay right here. Let me find my sweet spot.
Yeah, nice and smooth in that chase position there. We just saw that battle against Vitaly. Close one to call for these judges, and I think it's going to be this way all the way through the remainder of this event.
I agree with that.
Looks like we have a decision, yeah.
It's looking like it's going to a one more time. These two battles. This battle is going to be insane to see with the consistency.
Yeah, definitely a well-deserved one more time there. I'm excited for this. Drivers might turn up a little bit going into this one more time between them two. We'll send them right on back up to the line. They'll reset back. New tires, new cars. From the judges there one more time. Vitaly had the cleaner lead, but overall made a larger chasing error, so that's gonna line them back up.
All right, Steven Jarboe out there in the lead and Vitaly in the chase. Let's see how aggressive Steve is going to be on this lead run. He knows he has to put out a 100-point lead and then get a absolute monster of a chase. But also Vitaly is going to be thinking the same thing in the chase right now, trying to get as close proximity as Steven Jarboe is taking off the line, going in to that first outer zone. Nice initiation, a little bit of e-brake pull into that first outer zone, diving into that first inner clip. Here comes Vitaly trying to keep that proximity in that pocket. Steven Jarboe uses some left foot braking to stabilize his car on the inner clip too. angles up into outer zone 2, and my goodness, all the way through to the final outer zone. Possible tire drop from Steven Jarboe in that final outer zone.
Yeah, he was riding that track edge all the way up that last outside zone. But Steven, I think, doing a lot better job with this first turn as he initiates in, doesn't really go up onto the rumble, picks up throttle quickly and smoothly, and that puts him on a really good lead line out front. Still hangs on to that angle, remains in drift through outside zone 2. Super important, of course, filling this next one. Vitaly now applying some pressure and trying to make a dive in this last and final outside zone. Yeah, maybe just over the edge. It's so close there with Steven Jarboe out front.
Yeah, he was really flirting with disaster on that one, but he's pretty crazy, just like his virtual name, Looney. Here we go. We got Vitaly in the lead. Steven Jarboe in the chase. Possible contact on that cones coming out of those chicanes. Vitaly coming in with a nice Scandinavian flick into that first outer zone, into inner clip 1. Beautiful from Vitaly, mimicking the same angle from Steven Jarboe of Vitaly, and all the way to outer zone 3. Money. Vitaly is performing an absolute slayer of a lap with nice angle and speed and momentum, but Steven Jarboe is keeping up with them throughout the whole lap.
Yeah, keeping up very well in that chase position with Vitaly out front. Here we go with this drone camera replay initiation. Nicely done from Vitaly, picking up throttle quickly, but using a little bit of left foot brake to correct his line to get around that inside clip. Nicely done for outside zone 2. Steven right there, bumper to bumper through that transition, applying some pressure now. And once more, almost making contact. And then this final reel in up the hill. And there they go, finishing out their one more time battle.
Oh my goodness. This is why I love commentating, because I don't have to stress out, get more gray hairs than my old person already does. We have the judges coming up with the decision. And it goes to Vitaly, gets the win, moves on to the grade 8.
Yeah, I really think that could have went either way, but this time it goes to Vitaly. He gets the win, moves on to the top 8, but a great show today from Steven Jarboe.
Now we have a champion battle here. Nico, the streetcar named Stella, versus Zaku Sullivan. Nico, the young buck out here, etching his name on multiple different seasons and different brackets. Here he comes. He's going to be in the chase. Zaku Sullivan in the lead. Sim Magic BMW, Nico Stella being as aggressive as possible on this run-up. Zaku Sullivan used some left foot braking going into inner clip 1, but getting back on throttle. Tire drop onto that rumble strip. Nico Stella is keeping that proximity throughout each zone. Dives a little forward in that pocket, but keeps it right on his door all the way through. Oh my goodness, to the final outer zone. Nico Stella, I know he's not old enough to drive through toll booths, but definitely took all the pocket change from Zaku Sullivan's center console.
Absolutely doing a fantastic job in that chase position. Zach doing what he needs to out front as well. Just a little bit of foot brake through that turn 1, continuing on. Nicely done for the inside clip. Look at Nico though, just all the way almost on top of Zach as they continue on through this course. Almost in contact there through that transition, coming into the last and final outside zone. Here they go up the hill, almost being pushed across the line is Zaku Sullivan.
I'm hearing see a little bit of the final boss Nico, the final boss Stella in the chat. Oh man, if you haven't been watching WWE, you would get that reference. But here we go. Nico in the lead, Zaku Sullivan in the chase. Nico coming in with a nice initiation to that first out of zone, getting right to angle right before the initiation line. But here comes Zaku Sullivan and trying to keep that proximity and reeling Nico in. Nico used some left foot braking to get that angle, and Zach just dives right back into the pocket. Oh, contact on that final under clip, but Nico is still fighting through to the final outer zone. This is spicy.
Yeah, what a battle As we go back to our drone replay, this time Nico out front, initiating in, staying off that rumble, picking up throttle when he should, and tight to the inside clip. But look at the pressure being applied by Zach O'Sullivan, almost pushing him through that first inside clip. They continue on bumper to bumper through that transition. Zach right there with him, maybe in a better position, but he does fall back quite a bit there through that last and final portion of the course there, coming up the hill, wheel to wheel, door to door, and finishing out their top 16 battle.
Oh my goodness, how Nico is just, I could imagine him listening to that what's that song that the raccoon that meme going on, like any person, the Pedro song, and he's just on the line and that's just him bobbing, and then you have Zach O'Sullivan listening to like heavy metal right before a run.
Yeah, Zach is definitely a heavy metal person for sure. We wait on those judges. Yeah, are we
gonna
maybe
be a
one more time here? You know,
I could see that.
Maybe
it's a tip for tat.
It's possible.
Man, the chat is going wild for Nico, and a bunch of Pedros in the chat. Judges, left for Zach, right for Nico. And it looks like Zach O'Sullivan gets to win, moves on. I think one judge was choosing a one more time as well.
Yeah, it was a split decision there, getting a little bit more information. Zach seems to have had the cleaner lead. A little bit of contact there as well. But that better positioning after that first transition, even though we saw Zach drop back a little bit after the next one, it looks like that lead from Zach, while Nico using a lot of, undercutting the line in that chase position to hold on to proximity. Tight one, tough one.
If you haven't been following the socials, you got X, Driftmasters GP, as well as Instagram. If you want to check out the website, vdm.gp. We have our next drivers coming up to the line. Nick Hang in the lead, and Armandus in the chase. Here comes Nick Hang. You saw him hang it all out there on the track on the top 32 battle. Let's see how he does on the top 16. Oh, that initiation in the chase was a struggle. Looked like he had to slow down a ton in the chase, but Nick Hang is out there filling out each zone, using a little bit of left foot braking to keep that angle all the way through. And Armands is looking like he is struggling to chase that lead lap.
Yeah, sort of just all out of whack there in that chase position. We saw him do a fantastic job in his top 32 battle, but here we go with that replay. Ooh, okay. Maybe almost making contact there before initiation. Might have thrown him off, but he gets back onto it fairly quickly while Nick Hang continues on with his spectacular lead run here, coming into this zone all the way out there to that track edge, grabbing that inside clip. And there, yeah, we see Armands fall back just a little bit more, has to reel him back in, almost does before crossing that finish line.
Yeah, Armands had a really big pucker factor on that first initiation with Nick Hang just spreading that angle all the way through. But how Armands is going to perform out here in the lead and how Nick is going to be at the chase. Here he goes. Armands coming in with a Scandinavian flick. Absolute monster with the angle going into inner clip 1 all the way to outer zone 2. Armands is just using some throttle modulation to try to get as much speed and momentum going to inner clip 2 and outer zone 3. And here comes Nick Hang hanging onto the door of Armands all the way through final outer zone. Oh my goodness. What are you gonna what's going on with this guy? He's just straight savage.
Yeah, absolutely. And Nick dealing with that Manji section of the course very nicely. We see a big initiation for Armands out front, and then Nick almost throwing it away there, making some contact in the first turn, but they keep things going anyway. Nicely done on the transition, coming down to this next outside zone. And there, tons of angle through that inside clip and then pouring it back on for the last and final zone. Nick right there with him, applying some pressure, staying with him all the way to the top of that hill.
That was insane. Oh my goodness. There was how do you could barely fit a credit card but from the tire in the door.
I'm not sure you can.
Nick Hang to the right, Armand to the left. Looks like Nick Hang gets the win and moves on to the grade 8.
Yeah, and it really came down once again to those mistakes and the mistakes of Armand in that chase position, while Nick had a fantastic lead out front, really making it easy for him, but not able to take advantage in that chase position.
Our next battle is the final battle on the left side of the top 16 bracket. You have Sam Coudi in the lead versus Adam Zaleski in the chase. Sam out here straight shredding tires in the beginning of the top 32, and same with Sam. We'll see how Sam performs here with these two unique drivers. Aggressive style, almost side-by-side initiation, going into the first outer zone. Adam is leaving it all out on the line, keeping the door proximity to a minimum all the way through to the outer zone 3. Sam Coudi is keeping that momentum all the way through to that final outer zone, keeping that proximity door to door, side to side. Oh, mercy doors, baby.
Oh my goodness gracious. The aggression from Adam Zaleski in that chase position. Now Samuel out front doing a really good job with his lead run, filling the outside zone, picking up that throttle, driving in for the inside clip. Look at the aggression from Adam Zaleski, almost tapping that rear tire of Samuel Coudi out front and the bumper through that transition, staying with him through the small Manji section of the course into the last and final outside zone. Now again, Sam doing a really good lead run out front, but look at there, almost getting pushed across the finish line.
Absolutely monster. Oh man, here comes Adam in the lead, Sam in the chase. We're waiting for the lights. It looks like drivers are getting lined up, getting situated. Sam's giving him some room right off the start so he could get a little jump. Here comes Adam. Adam's getting some speed and momentum right to that first outer zone, filling it all the way out. Sam Coudi is not close as Adam was right off the initiation, but he's closing in that proximity to enter clip 2. Adam is filling out each zone, being super aggressive and clean as possible with angle. Sam is struggling a little bit on the angle and proximity, but here he comes right to the door of Adam.
Wow, I'm not sure if that was as clean as Adam's chase run, and Adam doing a really good job out front in the lead position this time, initiating in, staying off that rumble, picking up throttle early. What a line there through that turn 1, sets him up nicely for outside zone 2. Does use just a little bit of that rumble strip and a good transition right along that track edge, filling that next outside zone, almost making some contact is Samuel Coudi, but he's a little bit offline there through that last and final outside zone. Now back on it and following him closely, and they finish out their top 16 battle.
Oh my goodness. These guys are gonna get me worn out. Loving it. Loving
we're barely
the
past halfway through.
Yeah, this is the halfway point of the top 16. And then we're going to go onto the right side where we're going to see other absolute savages of drivers.
Wouldn't it be crazy to have an Adam Zaleski and Pavel Korpolinski final?
That would be pretty insane. Judges coming up with the decision. And Adam is getting the win. Sam did a great job as a driver there, but Adam's just an absolute monster when it comes into getting that proximity right off the rip.
Yeah, that chase run was absolutely insane, and then put down a really good lead run if he continues with that today. He's going to be hard to beat all the way through this event.
Now, we're out here for the virtual Drift Masters. It's so insane to see. We were talking about it earlier. The mesh between real world and virtual. This is the G2A bracket. You see the left side of the bracket is already filled up to the top 8. We're going to see the second half of our top 8 show up on this insane course, man.
Yeah, working our way through, and once more, Adam Zaleski moving on against what I'd call a heavyweight in the virtual space, doing a fantastic job. He's got Nick Hang up next in the top 8. We'll see that later, but Pavel Korpolinski and David will face off first. That's gonna be a heater.
Man, and you have Vitaly versus Zach. That's going to be an awesome battle in the top 8 as well. You got Jaku versus Pasquini. That's going to be also an insane battle for the top 16. Darius versus Andreev. I don't even know what to think of it. I can't even... Each battle could go either way.
Yeah, absolutely. Daniel Andreev and Darius Ostreika might be the battle to really watch out for. Some veterans in this, have a lot of experience in these cars as well, and I think they're really gonna go at it.
And Darius is a cool driver to hang out with, to talk to. He's very, and at points he's very quiet, but when you wouldn't think of that the way he drives at times.
No, not at all. He is on one all the time. But again, as I said earlier, probably one of the smoothest drivers as we see him hit the start code there. But one of the smoothest drivers on the sim for sure.
Man, these guys. So earlier today, they were asking if they do practice laps in between battles or in between, I guess, server resets, and they do. They do it to test out the server capabilities of the track, make sure not everybody's lagging or having some issues. They do that. They do a couple warm-ups before, and then make sure everything's working well. And so when we get to battle, equipment issues wouldn't be as much of a cause.
Absolutely, but still can happen. It's very similar to mechanical failure in a way, right? Like you have some issues. Maybe your handbrake disconnects or something before you initiate. That would it happens, and it completely ruins the run. Or have some internet issues as well. It's very similar, I think, to mechanical failure as we see car go teleporting through the wall.
I think they did a server reset on that one. As we were talking about that. But it's so funny when you're talking about equipment failure. I've had times while I would be driving on my sim and then my e-brake just launches off because I pull it, and I'm like, well, I gotta tighten them bolts down real quick.
I'd say so, yeah.
Oh man. And it's so cool I never thought how I was when I first started drifting on video games, I was like Most Wanted or Forza 1, like back in the day. And then seeing how virtual has grown is insane. Seeing these kind of productions being done, and even going into real life drifting. I've been a Formula Drift fan since 2007, and seeing where it is now, insane.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I don't know what it is about this year, but the excitement going into all of these seasons that are kicking off has just been on another level. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, and Drift Masters, I'm a huge fan of the track layouts they do. They go through different countries, but the final track is the epitome of drifting, the excitement of drifting. I love the crowd, like, just to feel. I wish I could just sit there and just bottle that energy up.
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to go last year so bad, make my way out there. But again, didn't get the chance to. But the grand prize here in this competition is 2 tickets to go.
And those guys are lucky.
Right? What am I doing here? You know?
Here we go. We got our drivers pitting up, and we're getting ready for the second half of our top 16 battles. All right, we have Powell, the power driver, Korpolinski versus David coming out here in the chase. Powell in the lead. Let's see how he performs with this S chassis coming in. Nice initiation, going into that first outer zone, getting that nice angle all the way through. Here comes David, keeping that proximity, knowing Powell's keeping a consistent line, getting all the way through each zone. Here, all the way through outer zone 3. Inner clip 2 is moneyed by Powell, and David is keeping that door-to-door, using throttle modulation and left foot braking to stay in that chase.
My goodness, what a start to this top 16 battle. First one on the right-hand side of the bracket, and it is a doozy. Look at Pavel Korpolinski's super smooth initiation, grabbing that inside clip and door-to-door all the way through turn 1. And Pavel's so locked into his angle, he adds a little bit more there, appropriate to do so, grabbing that next outside zone. But look at there, David right in that bumper of Pavel Korpolinski as they work their way up the hill now, door-to-door. Pavel almost getting pushed across that finish line.
And let's see if Pavel will come out here and do the same as he's been doing through each round, and getting that proximity, giving some door contact right there all the way through to inner clip 1. But David is unfazed and fighting through each zone, getting some nice momentum going to outer zone 3. Here comes Powell to try to keep that proximity all the way through to the final outer zone, and smooth transition from both drivers, mimicking each other all the way through to the line.
Yeah, great way to finish that battle, but we did have some contact upon that initiation. David initiating in. Yeah, it does kind of take him quite a while to pick up that throttle. Judges, really the decel zone goes until the first zone, but they said, it's appropriate for that lead driver to pick up throttle right when that zone ends, no later than that. And he does carry it quite a while. It doesn't seem like he picked up throttle until after the contact, but again, that's going to be up to the judges. And look at there, door across the finish line anyway.
It's insane. And you were explaining that, and that's exactly my thoughts. You'll see on the initiation where there's no smoke on the tires a little bit, and then he gets back on throttle, and then smoke comes up from the rear tires going all the way through. It's going to be a very, very nitpicky judging decision, I believe.
Yeah, it's a tough one to call. They might take their time there, go back on the replays, make sure they're making that appropriate decision for this battle. A tough one between these two. I mean, they kept going either way after the contact. Pavel got right back into the fight, and we have a decision.
And looks like Powell gets the win and moves on to grade 8. I saw in chat the S15 wins. I think you're right. Going into the next battle.
Dude, it's a sorcerer.
Yeah. There we go. And here is Darius Ostreika going to be in the chase, and Daniel Andreev in the lead. Heavy hitters over here. A90 versus 180. Darius Ostreika, he's very known for driving the BMWs, and seeing him in the A90 is unique from my perspective, but I love seeing them going into different chassis. Here we go. Daniel Andreev coming in with a nice initiation, locks an angle right before the line, but then bobbles going into interclip 1. Here comes Darius Ostreika, just keeping the nice momentum, diving in when he needs to. Right here, using left foot brake and a little bit of throttle modulation to keep that proximity. Daniel Andreev is just keeping that proximity onto the outer zone, but my goodness, Darius made some contact on that decel.
Yeah, that's what it looked like. There may be some contact coming into the last and final outside zone. There is a very small decel zone there as well. We'll take another look here. Lots of angle from Daniel. He has to draw out of it quite a bit, make a correction through turn 1. He grabs outside zone 2 nicely. A little bit of left foot brake through that inside clip, but it is allowed as long as they maintain that momentum. Look at there, bumper to bumper Darius Ostreika doing what he needs to do. Yeah, and then just a little bit of contact knocks Daniel offline. They continue on, and we'll flip him around for the second half of their battle.
I feel like Darius looked at him and saw him decel, and he said, no parking there, and he pushed him on into the outer zone. But here we go. We're giving the lights. Darius is going to be in the lead, and Daniel is going to be in the chase. Seems like there might be a communication going on between the... There he is. All right, here comes the lights. Darius in the lead. Daniel Andreev might think he needs to get aggressive on the initiation, and he does, mirroring the angle of Darius Ostreika going into outer zone 2 and just staying right in the pocket. Transition is good, gives him some room. Left foot brakes to stay at the same angle on outer zone 3 all the way to the final outer zone. Oh mercy, Darius and Andreev. Wow.
Oh, goodness gracious. Daniel maybe trying to make up for some of those mistakes in his lead as we go back to the replay through the drone cam. Filling outside zone 1 is Darius, nice and smooth through turn 1 as well. Locked into the angle, draws out of it just a little bit, but it is kind of needed for that outside zone. They continue on. Daniel Andreev in that chase position, locked into that pocket, falls back just a little bit. But again, sort of needed, jumps right back into it, staying right there with him, almost pushing him across that finish line. What a second half to this top 16 battle.
What did I just watch?
Yep.
Yup. Gangster. Yeah, that the chat knows what's talking about. I saw Oh Mercy and Gangster in chat. Love it. Appreciate the love. We're just waiting for the judges to come up with a decision. It looks like they have. Slide him left for Andreev. Slide him right for Ostreika. And Ostreika gets the win. Moves on to the top 8, the grade 8.
Yeah, getting by with that one. Hearing from those judges, it does come down to that contact, and it is on Daniel Andreev. From the judges, they saw a double decel, which is not really allowed there. Just one smooth one into that zone, but apparently he did it twice, led to the contact, and there it is. Darius Ostreika moving on.
Man, oh man. Stanislav Terasov versus Alexander Jager. These two slayers out here are getting ready, lining up. And Stanislav with the Bitlook livery on the right-hand side, or the left-hand side of what you guys are seeing. It's going to be in the lead. Bitlook team out here represented by 3 drivers. Getting ready for the lights. It's so funny to see. It's so unique. You'll in virtual wise and in real life, you could see a driver just bobbing his head to his music, and in virtual you'll see the driver just moving his front tires. But here's Stanislav coming in with the GR86 coming in. Nice initiation, and here comes Alexander keeping that proximity with that 180 all the way through to outer zone 2. Interclip 2 is good by both drivers. A little bit midline from Stanislav, but Stanislav is still keeping that midline on outer zone 3. Nice snappy transitions, but it looks like Alexander falls back offline in the chase.
Yeah, really snappy transitions out front in that Manji section of the course from Stanislav. Terasov out front, but Alexander Jager putting on the pressure as we take another look from the drone cam here. Look at that, just door to door, getting maybe pushed a little bit there as well in the outside zone too. Hangs on to him, and as you pointed out already, comes up a little bit shy of this outside zone. It is Stanislav out front. Again, super snappy transitions, but he seems to keep that momentum up as we see Alexander Jager fall off the back of that course just a little bit. And there they go, finishing out the first half.
We have them lining up yet again. The second lap, Alexander Jager is going to be in the lead and Stanislav is going to be in the chase. You have some people in chat saying, "How are you so chilled?" That's the type of person you are, Craig, man. I've been talking to you for the past couple weeks. Yeah, you're so chilled. I'm hopped off of energy drinks, the constant ringing of tinnitus, and just the sweet smell of victory every day. Here we go. Alexander Jager in the lead. Stanislav Tarasov in the chase. Coming in with a nice initiation, locks in and goes right into that inner clip 1, a little bit midline, but then shallowing up some angle in outer zone 2 like he's supposed to, and using that momentum to carry it all the way through. Stanislav is just maintaining that proximity as much as possible, and now he's going to dive right into the pocket of Alexander Jager.
Oh my goodness. Once again, another really tight battle between these two. Let's take another look here on the drone cam. Alexander Jager getting off to a really good start, filling that first outside zone, picking up that throttle, and could have been maybe a little bit tighter on that inside clip. Nice line through too, but then Stanislav right there, bumper to bumper through that transition, follows him through the Manji section of the course nicely. But I think Alexander Jager had maybe a cleaner lead run out front, nice and smooth, filling all of those zones, but Stanislav really tight in that chase position. We'll have to go to our judges, let them decide.
Oh, the beautiful sunrise, the beautiful wind that is going through the virtual hairs of the drivers as they're waiting for the judge's decision. Man, the caffeine is real, Craig.
As it should be, you know? The caffeine is caffeine being. Well, what's crazy, if you're new, this is like everyday activity for these guys. It's insane.
Oh, yeah. It's great. And with us, we said earlier that this is our first time commentating together as a team. And it's just the mesh of the vibes. Everybody loves drifting. Everybody loves the excitement. And just having two commentators to just talk about the runs and have a good time. You always have that excited friend that wants to tell you everything about it. But we have the judge's decision coming out.
Look at that. OMT. So actually split as well from the judges there. David went with OMT. Chris went with an OMT as well. And then Maddie chose one more time. So 2 versus 1. We'll line them back up again.
All right. Here we go. One more time battle for these two drivers. Stanislav is going to be in the lead again, and Alexander Jager is going to be in the chase. Alexander out here kind of shaking off the last battle, trying to get locked back in for this next battle. Stanislav with the Bitlook livery. Here he comes, going through the chicane. Nice initiation from Stanislav. And here comes Alexander trying to keep that proximity right off the rip, almost side-by-side initiation. Stanislav is keeping a consistent angle through inner clip 1 to outer zone 2. Outer zone 3 is great, a little bit more of a fill out from Stanislav, but here he comes in the final outer zone. and there's some contact being made from Alexander being a straight bully right through the line.
Oh, goodness. Even after the line there too, at the end of the run. Let's take another look from the drone here. Initiating in is Stanislav filling that outside zone, and look at the pressure being applied. Could have matched angle just a little bit better, but he gets into it nicely, quickly after a small adjustment. They make that transition bumper to bumper there. Almost stood up in my seat. I thought Alexander went a little bit too hard. And here we go, last and final outside zone. Little contact there. They continue on. Alexander now matching the angle. And there they go, finishing out the first half of there one more time.
As the famous Too Fast, Too Furious quote, I could smell you. Going into this next battle, Alexander literally sniffing the hair of Stanislav Terasov in the chase. Now we're going to have Alexander in the lead. Here we go. And we having the lights getting reset. Alexander trying to be as spicy as possible coming into that first outer zone, and he does a nice initiation, locking into angle, hucking it all the way through, but Stanislav is keeping right in the pocket all the way through to inner clip 2, going to outer zone 3. Alexander fills it out, possible tire drop on outer zone 3, but straight savage throughout the final outer zone, and Stanislav is getting door to door, and that, my friends, is drifting.
Yeah, what a one more time between these two. Maybe we could see him do it all over again. I don't know, but let's take a look here on the drone cam. Nicely done from Alexander, just locked into his angle. Maybe a little bit of boop there through the latter part of turn 1. They continue on. Nicely done from Stanislav in that chase position. Really smooth back there, matching the angle nicely, coming into the last and final outside zone as well. Just pushing him up the hill, applying the pressure. There they go, finishing out the one more time. Top 16 battle.
My goodness, these guys are just, I feel like not only are they having fun, but the platform they're on right now, being virtual drift masters, and you're in the VDC realm too, and I could just imagine the drivers' like excitement.
Yeah, definitely. Just blood pumping each and every single run. And there it is. Look at there. Stanislav Terasov getting the win over Alexander Jager. He'll move on into the top 8. But yeah, speaking more onto, I guess, the nerves of it all. We've heard from multiple, real life Formula Drift Masters drivers coming in and saying they get even more nervous doing this in the virtual space.
Yeah, when it comes into even in the Pro-Am level, I've had some drivers out there that are getting ready to go to the Pro-Am level to get their licenses to different competitions, that they're in the virtual realm when they're drifting with friends, they're having fun, but then when they get into a competition, they get nervous like they're in a comp. It's crazy. Well, now we have Ernestus Jaku in the lead versus Lucas Pasquini coming in. Nice initiation with the 890 Super from Jaku all the way through to inner clip 1. Here comes Lucas Pasquini, uses some left foot braking to keep that modulation all the way as much as possible into that angle, all the way through outer zone 3. Oh, Lucas loses a little bit of proximity on outer zone 3 into inner clip 2, all the way to money on the outer zone of the final portion of the track.
Yeah, he gets back into the fight really quickly after a really small hiccup there in that Manji section of the course. Let's take another look. Ernestas just locked into his angle and line through turn 1. Gets a little bit onto that rumble strip in outside zone 2. They make their first transition, and look at that. Lukas right in that chase position, falls back just a little bit and then makes the dive there into the last outside zone. Ernestas could have maybe been a little bit deeper there going up that hill.
I just realized on the spoiler of Ernestus' car is his nickname, Jaku. Love it. Lucas Pasquini out here representing the AOM members, coming in with a nice initiation, locking into angle, getting back on throttle when he needs to be, diving into the inner clip. Here comes Jaku into outer zone 2. Lucas used some left foot braking to stabilize his car and get some momentum all the way through outer zone 3. Snap transition to the final outer zone. And here comes Jaku being super aggressive and a straight animal.
Yeah, very aggressive going up that last and final hill. We go to our drone cam here. Lucas out front, and I think doing a fantastic job in that lead position, filling that outside zone. Tons of angle there, and he doesn't come off of it really at all. Drawing it out just a little bit, using some foot brake through that inside clip and down into this outside zone as well. Ernesto's falling back and then gets right back into it. Super aggressive up this hill here, almost pushing Lucas across that finish line. There they go.
Man, the judges are gonna have a very decisive outcome on this one, trying to figure out who had the more mistakes, who is gonna be moving on to the grade 8. But I don't know, man. I could see this going in one more time, but I could also see this going either way. So it's so hard to be a judge in this kind of sport.
Yeah, absolutely tough to call, and a thankless job every single time for those judges.
Chat almost made me choke on my energy drink. They said this is Google Snake. There we go. We got the judges coming up with the decision. And Jaku moves on the grade 8.
Yeah, Ernesto's getting the win there over Lucas. And hearing from those judges, that little bit of separation caused there in that battle deemed Lucas at fault.
Yep, and after this is going to be the 5-minute break for going into the top 8. I thank every one of you for being here throughout this competition, and we'll catch you guys in 5 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Virtual Drift Masters. I am your host, John Tiny Jarboe, as well as my partner in crime, Craig, out here. Man, these battles have been crazy, Craig.
Absolutely, and just making it through the top 16, now heading into the top 8, and the battles have been absolutely insane all the way through this event, including top 32. Each and every single driver putting on a show today.
Yeah, and we want to also thanks to our sponsors for Virtual Drift Masters, G2A, MetaPro. I appreciate you guys helping us out and supporting us in this competition. We have 6 rounds where these guys get an awesome prize at the end.
Yeah, insane prize. Really something I wanted to do myself last year, going to Poland in that last and final round of Drift Masters. That huge stadium. I mean, man, it gave me chills just watching it at home, through the live stream, not even actually being there.
Man, these guys are out here just absolutely shredding. Our bracket is pretty intense. You have Darius Ostreika versus Powell, the Pio driver, Korpolinski, and that's going to be a intense battle right there.
It sure is. Really, all the way through this top 8, I think really is going to be insane. We might have some one more times here in these battles if they can keep it under control. I know we've seen a lot of times, especially you get all the way to the finals. It's been crazy, and then you have crazy contact, and it sort of gets thrown away a little bit. So keeping those nerves under control here in the top 8 is super important. Staying smooth through these runs as well, and just locked in.
Yeah, we have in the driver's pit, and we're going to be going no more breaks throughout this whole stream. So far, we're going to be going through the top 8 all the way to the final battles, and we're going to be crowning our victor of round 1 of Virtual Drift Masters. Our first battle today for the top 8 is Vitaly versus Jaku Sullivan. And Jaku Sullivan has been on a tear.
Yeah, he sure has. And let's not forget, too, Vitaly qualified 32nd. So the last qualifier to make it into today's event. And he's all the way through to the top 8. But, a big battle up ahead of him with Jaku Sullivan.
Yeah, it's just the momentum he has, taking out the top qualifier and then carrying through the competition. Now he's in the top 8, possibly in the top 4. If he wins this battle. But we have Jaku Sullivan in the lead and Vitaly in the chase. Coming out here, Jaku Sullivan with a nice initiation, locking in that angle right off the rip and keeping the same angle throughout outer zone 2. A very clean run so far from Jaku Sullivan, angling up into outer zone 3. And here comes Vitaly trying to keep that proximity into that final outer zone. And sticking it right to the doors. Jaku Sullivan is using some left foot braking to keep himself in that zone.
Yeah, nicely done. Used the left foot brake a little bit in that last and final outside zone, but held the momentum pretty well. But then the pressure being applied in that chase position from Vitaly, continuing to do a really good job here in the top 8, this time against Jaku Sullivan, using a little bit of rumble strip out there on that second outside zone. Again, judges want them to stay off of it just a little bit, but nicely done through the remainder of the course. Nice and snappy into the final outside zone here. And look at all that pressure being applied from Vitaly, locked into that chase position.
And now we're going to have Jaku Sullivan in the chase. So you have Vitaly rolling up to the line right now to be in the lead. Jaku Sullivan with that BMW Sim Magic livery on the side. Vitaly getting ready to take off on his lead lap. Vitaly coming in, using a nice initiation, use some left foot braking to stabilize himself and keeping himself in that zone. Jaku Sullivan is just diving right into the pocket of Vitaly. Vitaly is just trying to shoot as fast as possible, carrying the momentum into the outer zone 3. Possible tire drop on there. Jaku Sullivan is keeping the proximity, diving right back in, throttle all the way down, applying left foot braking and staying door to door.
Oh My goodness, pushing him across that finish line. Here we go with that drone cam replay, this time with Vitaly out front. Good initiation, picking up throttle when he should. I just locked into that line as well, holding on to that angle. Stays off the rumble strip pretty well at outside zone 2. Now it does look like he might have hung on to this for quite some time. Yeah, still made it smooth and got to that inside clip. Zach falling back just a little bit, but then right back into the pocket of that lead car. Vitaly out front, Zach in the chase, and across that finish line, door to door, we go to our judges here for the first time in the top 8.
This has been exciting since top 32 all the way to where we're at now. A lot of good consistency from all these drivers, but Sullivan has just been keeping proximity every single lap he has on the chase. So we're seeing what the judges are looking at right now and coming up with a decision, hopefully in a short matter. I think they're deciphering who made the most mistakes on this battle.
Yeah, again, a game of mistakes. Super duper difficult to remain perfect. Again, as I said earlier, it's so rare we see those 100-point qualifying runs because it is so difficult to stay perfect. So it comes down to who makes the most mistakes and how bad they really are. We have a decision though.
It's looking like Sullivan gets the win and moving on to the top 4. Beautiful amount of competition throughout this whole bracket. Vitaly did a great job going from top 32 to the top 8. That's insane, especially when points and you're in the beginning of the season.
Yeah, very beginning, and a good head start to some points on the board for that season, and getting closer to that grand prize of going to Poland, last and final round of Drift Masters. 2 tickets, almost, 2 tickets to paradise, I guess.
Yeah, you could say that. Drifting paradise.
It's our paradise, right?
Yeah, for sure. And this series is mirroring what Drift Masters is going to be doing in real life. So all the rounds are going to be exactly what you're going to see in Drift Masters in the real world, at least track layout wise. But here we go. Adam Zaleski in the lead, Nick Kang in the chase, coming out here. Nice Scandinavian flick from Adam, going into that first outer zone and locking an angle, going into inner clip 1 all the way into outer zone 2, using that speed and momentum as much as possible. And Nick Kang used some left foot brake into match angle to slow himself down and go into the final outer zone. Nick Kang is literally shredding tires, staying right next to Adam.
Yeah, maybe even a little bit ahead of him as we go back to the drone cam here. Adam Zaleski out front and on a tear here in the lead position. Good angle that he sets into for turn 1, grabbing that inside clip and really takes off through this portion of the course. Nicely done there, still picking up the inside clip. Nick Kang right there though, bumper to bumper through that transition. Makes a small correction back in that chase position, and here we go. A little bit ahead there, needs to fall back just a little bit. Nick Kang doing a pretty good job there, and there, almost passing him out front.
Feel like Nick probably had a little bit too much grip towards that final outer zone, but was able to keep it within proximity so he doesn't overshoot him. But we have Nick Kang now in the lead. See if he uses his speed, violence, and momentum into the lead lap. Here we go. Nick Kang in the lead. Adam in the chase. Oh my goodness. Side-by-side initiation from Adam. And Adam is keeping that proximity all the way through inner clip 1 to outer zone 2. Nick Kang is just shredding. But Adam is absolutely on a tear, just getting right there, trying to rip the door off and exposing the whole cockpit of Nick Kang. Oh my goodness.
God. Let's go back to the drone there. Adam Zaleski again, just locked in, really going after it here in that chase position through that initiation. I think that's the first side-by-side initiation we've seen all day long, and it seems to pay off there, almost pushing him through that section of the course as they continue on. Nick doing a really good job out front, but can't shake that chase car of Adam Zaleski coming up the hill now. Adam position quite the same, but then falls back where he should. And we go to our judges here in the top 8.
It's so great to see like the chat in game. These guys are very sportsmanship like. They're like, dude, that was good runs. And you got the other guy saying, yeah, boy. And like they're so amped up about that battle.
As they should be. That was absolutely insane. A masterclass from Adam Zaleski, I think, in my opinion. But we'll see what those judges have to say.
The livery from Adam is so cool.
Yeah, matching his real car as well.
Yeah, I love it. I love the uniqueness of the graphic of the livery, and then you have Nick Hang with the absolute.
Yeah, this purple carbon is doing something to me. I don't know what it is, but it's kind of sick.
All right for Adam, left for Nick. And it looks like Adam gets to win and moves on to the final 4. Beautiful performance from both of these pilots.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, Adam, I said it earlier, if he can keep it up, he's going all the way.
Now, we have King Kong versus Godzilla matchup. We got Powell, the power driver, Korpolinski versus Darius, the Don Ostreika. A90 Super versus S15. Here comes Powell. He's going to be in the lead. Let's see how he performs out there on the lead. Let's see how aggressive Darius is going to be right off the rip in the chase. Getting a nice initiation, getting right to the door on the first outer zone, matching the speed all the way through to the first outer zone and outer zone 2, going all the way through to outer zone 3. Powell is doing a fantastic job locking in like a slot car to each zone in the lead. But Darius Ostreika is keeping that proximity, falling back a little bit, then diving right back in.
Yeah, great start to this top 8 battle between these two. Pavel Korpolinski out front, Darius Ostreika in that chase, and a little bit lazy on that initiation from Pavel out front, but now we see him locked into that angle, and Darius Ostreika in that chase position, sacrificing quite a bit of angle there to maintain proximity, but he does maintain proximity pretty well here, even through the Manji section of the course. Difficult to do back there in that chase position, but Pavel making it easy out front with that lead run.
I'm loving this excitement right here. You got these guys out here just shredding tires. Some of these people that are watching the stream are probably used to just watching competitions in real life and aren't familiarized that these guys are shredding tires on the sim with a wheel, a whole sim rig set up. But we got Darius Ostreika in the lead, and Powell in the chase, getting himself ready. Darius coming in with a nice initiation going into that first outer zone, using that momentum to carry himself out through the first inner clip in outer zone 2, and using that speed of that 890 Super and getting super aggressive going into that outer angle. Oh my goodness, it looked like Powell possibly tire dropped, almost messed himself up, but Darius is being super aggressive with angle on that final outer zone, and Powell is just trying to keep that proximity.
Yeah, that's a tough one there. We'll get a better view of it here on the drone. Here with the replay, Darius Ostreika locked into turn 1 there, nice and smooth, makes a small adjustment there coming into outside zone 2, and here we go with that transition, and just a little bit of front wash from Pavel Korpolinski, but he does a good job to deal with it and get right back into the fight with Darius Ostreika out front, and there they go, Darius getting pushed across that finish line, and we go to our judges here in the top 8.
No. With this whole chat getting super excited with this battle, some of the guys out here just saying, let's go Powell. I got a guy saying, finally home from E-Town. That is my home track. I'm happy to see people out there shredding some tires. We were actually talking about E-Town earlier today. I remember watching the drag races there.
Right, such a really not even that terribly long ago. It's I guess an unfortunate one to see the drag strip go away, but man, we got something cool instead.
The Coliseum of American drifting.
It really is at this point, for sure. Irwindale there too as well, but there's a couple of, not so great seats at Irwindale where Englishtown, I don't think there's any such thing.
We have these guys here. The judges have come to a decision. Left for Powell, right for Darius. Darius gets the win and knocks off Powell, the power driver, Korpolinski.
Yeah, all coming down to that independent error of Pavel Korpolinski. That's going to end his event today here in the top 8, but really nicely done and getting really some practice in before the round here in the simulator.
Yeah, it's great to see that. I know a lot of pro drivers, we were talking earlier how they use the sims for practice, especially with not only this track right here for Drift Masters, for different competitions. These drivers will practice on those sims to kind of get themselves locked in. Now we have Stanislav Tarasov in the lead, Ernestus Jaku in the chase. Teammate for Darius Ostreika. Stanislav is going to be in the lead. Bitlook livery. Coming in with a nice initiation, going to that first outer zone and filling it all the way out, going to inner clip 1, money to outer zone 2. Nice angle, a little bit of a shallowing up of angle on outer zone 2, but he's using that momentum to carry himself out to outer zone 3. Inner clip 3 is good. Stanislav locked in, rocking and rolling, but here comes Jaku on the door.
Yeah, some more of those really tight, snappy transitions through that Manji section of the course. Stanislav out front, leading Ernestas through this course and doing so nicely. Filling outside zone 1, driving in, and look at there, locked in is Ernestas in that chase position, staying with him through a very tough portion of the course. And here we go, down into the Manji section, filling that zone pretty well. Really snappy out front from Stanislav, and Ernestas dealing with it nicely, working up the hill now and pushing him across that finish line.
Man, it's so cool to see these guys, because when they're coming up to the line, like myself, if I'm in this competition right here, I'm sweating. I'm probably sweating. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go against this guy. I just saw Jaku just vibing and just going side to side on the track, rolling up to the start line. And it's so funny to see the character of each driver. And it's not only just how they roll up to the line, it's their driving style. We have Ernestus Jaku in the lead versus Stanislav Tarasov in the chase. Ernestus coming in with a nice e-brake initiation to the first outer zone. Here comes Stanislav, keeping that proximity right off the rip and keeping right on that door of Jaku. And Jaku's flying all the way to outer zone 3. And Stanislav is not backing off from this fight and going right to the door of Jaku. Doors, baby.
Yeah, super aggressive in that chase position, but Ernestas making it really nice and clean for Stanislav in that chase position. Here we go with that drone cam replay. Nice initiation, good angle from Ernestas as well as he picks up that throttle, grabs that inside clip, and works his way out to outside zone 2, grabbing a little bit of that rumble strip. And there we see Stanislav really center punch that inside clip. Some of it is allowed. Look at there, bumper to bumper through that last and final transition, and Stanislav just locked into that pocket as they work up the hill and finish the second half of their battle.
That was insane. And looking at the drivers, and we talked about the drivers briefing earlier today, that the lead runs get actually, if you have a really good lead run, that could benefit you, especially if your chase run wasn't as good, let's say, for instance, for tit for tat points wise. But these guys they're making it so hard, man.
Especially for these judges as well. Judges got their work cut out for them today. Drivers just absolutely on one here on this course. And as you pointed out, it is super important for that lead to do what they're supposed to be doing. it makes it that much easier for that chase to be where they need to be, and that's what we all want to see, right? Is just close tandem battles here.
Right for Jaku, left for Stanislav, and it's a one more time. I am not mad about that. That was such an awesome battle. I want to see it again.
Yeah, absolutely. Just clean up little things here and there. No clear winner. Let's see how close these guys can get to perfect.
Man, it's gonna be super hard, and I'm seeing a lot of people talking about sim and real life. It's great to watch people go from sim driving to real life, and it works. That's definitely a really true thought process. There's some drivers I've had a conversation with that they said you can actually tell when a sim driver is transferring into real world drifting, because sometimes they initiate a little bit too late, too early, sorry. But going into this one more time battle, Stanislav Terasov in the lead, Jaku in the chase, getting into a nice initiation from Stanislav. Jaku slides right into the pocket in interclip 1 and using the same angle as Stanislav and keeping the proximity throughout each zone. So far, Stanislav is filling out each zone nice and deep. Little bit of unsettling from Stanislav, but oh my goodness, Jaku is just rubbing up on that door throughout that final outer zone.
Yeah, I think he really cleaned up his chase this time as we go to our drone camp here. Stanislav out front, big initiation, good angle, locked in here. No correction in that angle out front. We see those front wheels, again, just nothing out of them, just no correction whatsoever. Ernestes falling back just a little bit there, and then bumper to bumper for the last and final transition, giving contact there in the beginning as well as they work their way up the hill.
He was giving him a little butterfly kiss. Let's be honest. That door, man. Insane. Though he has Stanislav. Let's see. He knows he had a aggressive chase driver behind him. Let's see how aggressive Stanislav is gonna be in the chase. Ernestes Jaku in the lead. And man, this is a spicy run. Another run that we're going to have in the books of Drift Masters Virtual as an elite battle. Here comes Ernestes Jaku angling up, getting right where he needs to be into interclip 1, filling out outer zone 2. And here comes Stanislav, keeping that proximity, a little bit of a bobble on that interclip 2, but staying right there within proximity of Ernestes. And Ernestes is being as smooth as butter from Texas Roadhouse on those sweet rolls.
The cinnamon butter, baby.
Yeah.
We go back to our drone. Oh, not quite yet. Are we going to get a replay here? Because holy smokes, I feel sorry for these judges here. I'm not sure if we are going to get a replay, but that's all right. They can back it up on their own. But man, I kind of wanted to see that again, you know?
That's insane, man.
Which, I mean, shoot, we might. Okay, here we go. Maybe. Yeah, and there we go with the drone cam replay. Ernestes out front. Very smooth initiation from him, picking up that throttle, driving in for the inside clip. But look at Stanislav right there in that chase position, following him nicely there through that section of the course. Good transition and a little bit better proximity there through that very small section, and then bumper to bumper through those transitions. Now they work up the hill. Stanislav right there, almost pushing him across that finish line. No contact made, and we go to our judges.
And I think the judges have made the decision. We're waiting for
they
this.
Sure have. They're driving off already. Let's see if I get anything from Chris, one of our judges today, Chris Witowski.
Judges are coming up. Right for Jaku, left for Stanislav. And Jaku gets the win and is moving on.
What a battle. Yeah, holy moly. And that ends it for our top 8.
Yeah, this top 8 bracket is crazy. And now we have our top 4 bracket. It's going to be Jaku Sullivan versus Zaleski. And Jaku versus Darius Ostreika. What is going on here, man? It's insane.
Yeah, definitely. And Austin making it all the way into this Final Four. Now he's got Zach Sullivan in front of him, a tough battle. But Adam has really been on one today on this course. And again, getting some practice, even if the cars aren't entirely, we'll say, realistic, right? Which they're pretty close. They still get this practice learning these very small, intricate little details of the course and maybe what's required come competition day.
Yeah, man, I'm so happy you got the reference of the Texas Roadhouse butter, man.
It's delicious.
I got some people in chat that got that reference. Well, we got Zach Sullivan in the lead and Adam Zaleski in the chase. Zach Sullivan, VDC driver, Sim Magic livery on the side. Zaleski Motorsports for Adam livery. Have them roll back a little bit, get himself situated. This is our Final Four battle. Loser moves on to the battle of third place. Winner moves on to the battle of first place.
Looks like we're gonna reset them.
Yeah, reset them, get them back on the grid, and set up on this line. Zach O'Sullivan's going to be in the lead. Battle moves on to the battle of first and second place. Zach O'Sullivan versus Adam Zaleski. Zach O'Sullivan side-by-side initiation from Adam. Right off the rip, being super aggressive. Zach O'Sullivan gets in to each zone so far. Tire drops a little bit of a kiss on the door from Adam, going all the way into outer zone 3. Zach O'Sullivan filling out each zone like he needs to be in the lead. Here comes Adam diving right back into the pocket, getting super aggressive. Doors all the way around this lap.
Oh, the amount of aggression from Adam Zaleski on a second side-by-side initiation from him, and doesn't pay off. Look at here, right onto the door of Zach O'Sullivan. Does make a couple of bobbles here and there, but maintains that proximity. Zach going really deep for the rumble strip, and then gets just a little kiss again there from Adam Zaleski. They continue on bumper to bumper. Adam falling back just a little bit, but then jumps right back onto the door of Zach O'Sullivan, who is locked into that outside line for that last and final outside zone.
There we go. The second lap of this battle of the Final Four. Winner moves on to first and second. Let's see Adam come out here and shred some tires in the lead. Zach O'Sullivan coming here, trying to be as aggressive as Adam, and Adam just initiates like a straight gangster in the first outer zone and filling it out, using that momentum to carry himself through outer zone 2. Zach O'Sullivan is using that momentum as well and trying to dive into the pocket, and he gets door to door all the way through outer zone 3, and her clip 3 is good. So Adam is filling out each zone. Zach O'Sullivan is getting doors, baby, all day long.
Sure did, and I think Adam might have even gone a little bit too wide for that last and final outside zone. Let's see if we can see it on the drone cam here with Adam out front going for the big initiation. Zach falling back a little bit, letting it happen, and then right back into the pocket, following Adam nicely here through the first part of this course. Nicely done on the transition as well, bumper to bumper, locked into that pocket, falls back just a little bit similar to Adam, but then closer on the bumper through the last transition. They work up the hill, and that's so close for Adam Zaleski, dropping a tire along that white line. But we go to our judges here in the Final Four.
I'm speechless.
It's absolutely insane. Could we see him line up for one more time, maybe?
Man, that would be great. But that side-by-side initiation from Adam was straight cojones. Let's put it that way. He had as much brass to get right next to him and say, I'm just going to be as aggressive as possible. It's insane.
Yeah, if he doesn't make that happen, in the next couple of weeks, and when the real round comes around, I'm going to be disappointed. Not going to lie.
Man, oh man, the judges have a handful right here. Here we go. Judges came up with a decision. Left for Zach, right for Adam. And it's going split decision. Zacho Sullivan moves on to the battle of first and second place. Adam is going to the battle for third place. So he could still get that podium.
Still having a chance for the podium there, and a tough one to call, getting a little bit information from those judges. It does come down to that little bit of contact from Adam in the chase and his bobbles through that first turn. Even with that absolutely insane initiation, it didn't quite pay off there, but still made it look crazy.
And now we got a battle of teammates here. Jaku versus Darius Ostreika. This is a intense battle. These guys have drifted with each other consistently, being teammates. This is not only a battle for who gets to a guaranteed spot on the podium, but for pride. Here we go. Ernestus Jaku in the lead. Darius Ostreika in the chase. Jaku coming in with a nice initiation, V-break pull into that first outer zone. Here comes Darius Ostreika, keeping that close proximity in the pocket all the way to outer zone 2. Now using that speed and momentum to carry himself out into outer zone 3. Money. Jaku is filling out each zone, being as aggressive as possible, keeping a mid to high line on that final outer zone. Darius Ostreika is staying right there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Ernestus, you pointed it out already. Could have been a little bit deeper in that last and final outside zone, but let's take a second look on the drone here, just initiating in door to door. Both of these teammates following nicely is Darius in that chase position, almost pushing him there before making that first transition. Nicely done from Ernestus, just locked into this lead line. Again, a little bit shallow there. He does end up working it out to that outside just a little bit there. But Darius, I mean, all the pressure being applied and nice and smooth as well. No contact.
Man, that he was just massaging each zone like any other driver could do, especially when you go into that final outer zone where you're just kind of midline. He's like, I need to go deeper. And it was very, very great on Jaku and his lead run. Now we have Darius in the lead. Jaku in the chase. Here we go. Battle moves on. Winner moves on to a podium position. Darius Ostreika coming in with a nice initiation to the first outer zone. Jaku giving him a little door tap all the way into inner clip 1. And Darius is still fighting through and getting that momentum to carry himself into outer zone 3. Money all the way into inner clip 3. Oh my goodness. A little bit of a gap from Darius and Jaku's cars in that final outer zone.
Yeah, I saw that too from Ernestus in that chase position, getting maybe a little bit out of whack. We'll get a better view here from the drone as we see Darius Ostreika initiate in. Nicely done. Again, locked into that angle, no wavering in those front wheels. Works out to outside zone 2 with Ernestus right there in that chase position. Nicely done for the first transition as well. Really reeling him in there. And yeah, ooh, maybe a little bit of contact there. Doesn't quite get the front of that car where he wants it to be. Ernestus in that chase, but gets the side of his car where he wants it to be, crossing that finish line.
I think that yellow A90 Supra wins.
Has to, definitely.
Definitely.
No
Definitely
question.
has to. No question.
No contest.
I had to beat the chat on that one. The chat was saying that this is a ghost lap.
Right, it's the AI going on. That's all it is.
Oh my goodness. We're seeing. Oh, I'm sorry. It's gold. It's they're a shade of yellow. Going.
I mean, yeah.
Hearts. A couple of guys are saying it's hard to judge on the same livery. The only thing that you can really see different is nameplates and what says on the spoiler. But we got left for Darius.
Who's who? Oh well, there we go.
Oh, it's a one more time battle. I guess. Definitely, that was needed. These guys are out here just shredding.
They certainly are.
My goodness. I love it. I love the camaraderie the drift teams have with each other. It's awesome to see, and doing this is pretty easy for them, especially when they're battling each other. They already know their tendencies, so they're gonna definitely take advantage of it.
Time they're literally driving together almost every single day of the week, and yeah, making it tough for the judges.
All right, here's our one more time battle of our final four. Last final four battle. Ernestus Jaku in the lead. Darius Ostreika in the chase. Nice initiation from Darius, locking its angle before the initiation line all the way into interclip 1. Ernestus is filling out each zone. Darius is trying to get that speed to keep up that proximity, a little bit less proximity than last time when we seen on the first battle, but Ernestus is doing a good job filling out the line and staying as deep and consistent on that final outer zone.
Yeah, nice, smooth and clean there from both of those drivers. As we take a second look here from the drone, good initiation, nice and snappy from Ernestus out front as well, as he locks into that line and angle, working out to outside zone 2 now. But look at Darius Ostreika giving little taps there from that chase position as they continue on now. A little bit better job, I think, by Darius Ostreika this time through that small Manji section of the course and then right back into the pocket, while Ernestus could again be a little bit deeper on that last and final outside zone.
Now we're going to have them switch sides. Darius is going to be in the lead. Ernestus is going to be in the chase. Here we go. Darius, really snappy initiation he usually has, but now he goes real nice and gentle going into that first outer zone and being consistent with angle. Actually shallows up a little bit on angle on outer zone 2. And here comes Ernestus Jaku diving into the pocket a little bit forward of it, going into final inner clip, final outer zone. Jaku is diving into the door of Darius and saying, I'm on one, and so are you.
He does. He got a little bit offline there, but man, that might even just be rewarded there with that aggression, because he certainly made it work and made it smooth. As we take a look from above in this drone cam, just door to door through turn 1, as you pointed out. Pulled out a little bit of angle for outside zone 2. Nice transition there. Yeah, goes a little bit forward there, but makes a good correction to drop back into that pocket. They continue on. Darius out front, locked into that final outside zone, but Ernestus right there, locked into the pocket.
These guys out here just doing drift donuts and being excited just to be on the final 4 battles and waiting for the judge's decision. These guys, absolute savages out here.
Yeah, I think either one deserves to go to the final battle.
Man, and the final battle is going to be even more intense. The battle after this is battle for 3rd place. Slide him right for Jaku, slide him left for Darius. Jaku gets the win and is getting a guaranteed spot in the podium, but Darius has the opportunity to get on the podium to have 2 team members on that stand.
Yeah, both from Team Urta there, and putting on a show in both of their battles. Again, I think either one could have went there to the finals, but this time it's going to be Ernestus moving on to face Sullivan. But Darius and Adam Zaleski is going to be a crazy one for that 3rd place.
And it's going to be Jaku battling against Sullivan. This is, it feels like it's a fight right now. And Darius versus Adam. The excitement is going to be building. I wonder if Adam's going to do that same tactic going in the side-by-side initiation right off the rip.
I think you should.
I think you should too. Here we go. The battle winner gets 3rd place. Darius Ostreika in the lead. Adam in the chase. Here we go. Darius Ostreika in that A90 Supra coming in with a nice initiation. Then angling up after outer zone 1. to get into inner clip 1. Adam is getting a nice proximity throughout the zone and following Darius's lead throughout each zone. A little bit offline on outer zone 3 from Adam, but Darius is just smooth and consistent with each zone. Here comes Adam getting door to door.
Yeah, really applying the pressure in that last and final outside zone is Adam Zaleski, but Darius Ostreika seems to, have that car super dialed in. Not a ton of grip, but very smooth throughout that course, while Adam Zaleski really seems to have a lot of grip dialed into that car. We see him a bit wavery there in that chase position, but right on the bumper and in the pocket through majority of this course. Again, right on the bumper through that last and final transition, working up the hill now, last and final outside zone, almost getting in front of him, but falling back. And there they go, finishing out the first half of their third place battle.
Yeah, and possibly it was not a weird, but considering what Adam has been doing throughout the whole competition, he's been trying to be aggressive right off the rip on initiation. It kind of fell back on him when he was trying to be conservative on this one. But we have Adam now on the lead and Darius Ostreika in the chase. A90 Supra versus the GR86 coming in. Adam, let's see how he performs out here and gets a snappy initiation. Nope, a nice, smooth, consistent initiation into that first outer zone. But here's Darius using that A90 Super power to try to stay as close proximity as possible without impeding the lead car and getting a little bit far forward on the pocket, but then diving back, loses proximity, and then dives right back in to the final outer zone. Adam is just filling it out, being an absolute savage.
Yeah, not as deep as you can be in that last and final outside zone. But let's take a look after that first transition here. Adam out front, filling outside zone 1 nicely, using a little bit of the rumble strip there as Darius in that chase position, doing what he needs to do. And does Adam go maybe a little deep there? No, we don't see a tire drop there really at all. Maybe accentuating Darius being a little bit further inside, but look at there, up the hill, just door to door, matching the angle nicely as Darius in that chase position. We go to our judges here for this third place.
Third place is going to be going to one of these two competitors, and this is a great start of this season.
Absolutely insane start to a tricky course, very technical in some of these areas, and these drivers are tackling it nicely.
All right, slide him right for Darius, slide him left for Adam, and Darius gets third place on the first round of Virtual Drift Masters.
Yeah, fantastic showing from Darius and Adam Zaleski as well, making it all the way to that third place battle, coming up just a bit short. I mean, just barely against Darius Ostreika there. He'll take home fourth position, but we've got our final battle ahead of us.
Oh boy. Zacho Sullivan is going to be in the chase. Ernestus Jaku is going to be in the lead. This is the battle for first and second place. A super exciting battle here because these guys are getting a big jump start on this season. Jaku is going to be in the lead. Zach in the chase. We're waiting for the lights for the first lap of this battle. Drivers are getting locked and loaded. Here we go. Ernestus has been doing a good job with that A90 Supra. Here comes Zach coming in, diving in, using that left foot brake to kind of match angle into that first inner clip. Ernestus is a little mid-line on that first inner clip, where Ernestus is using that speed and momentum to carry himself all the way to outer zone 3. Oh, Zach O'Sullivan falls back a little bit, but then dives right back into the pocket onto outer zones, all the way through to the final outer zone. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, what a start to the final battle here in round 1. Ricardo Tormo, as we watch Ernestus lead Zach O'Sullivan through the course here. from the drone. Great initiation from Ernestes there. Does miss out on that inside clip just a little bit, but nicely done for outside zone 2. But Zach right there in that chase position where he needs to be. And I think, honestly, he's where he needs to be there, too. Ernestes maybe coming in a little bit deep too soon for that outside zone. But, man, look at the proximity coming up the hill. A little tap there across the finish line.
Beautiful. Now we have our second lap of this battle. We're going to hang one over the tube and get ready to send it. The lights are getting ready. These guys are probably shaking right now. And here we go. Zacho Sullivan in the lead. Jaku in the chase. A battle for first place. Ernestes Jaku dives right into the pocket. A little bit of contact with Zacho Sullivan. As Zach is keeping that angle and diving right in. Use some left foot braking to stabilize himself, but it might have been too much going into that inner clip in outer zone 3, all the way to that final outer zone. A tire drop from Zacho Sullivan.
What a finish. My hands were on my head after that first contact there between these two. Let's take another look at it, though. Zacho Sullivan out front, initiating in. Could have been a bit steeper on the angle there, but yeah, a bit of contact there from Ernestes unneeded as they work their way through the remainder of the course. Now Zach doing a good job, and then another big tap there from Ernestes in the chase, straightening Zach out. Zach doing a good job to just keep it going, keep the show rolling as they work up the hill now and across that finish line. What an event today.
Man, from start to finish, these guys have been just straight slaying tires, virtual tires per se, on this virtual Drift Masters track, doing an absolute showcase and getting us prepared for actual Drift Masters, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Really hyping it up for everybody, and they certainly put on a show today. Every single one of these drivers in the top 32.
Slide him left for Zach. Slide him right for Jaku. And Zach O'Sullivan gets first place. Jaku gets second. And Darius Ostreika gets third place. My goodness.
Yeah, masterclass again, all of these drivers, but Zacho Sullivan comes out on top with the victory here for round 1 at Ricardo Tormo. Again, what a showing.
Man, these guys out here getting super excited before the whole series and then showing out on this battles throughout top 32. I'm so happy to be here. Craig, thank you for being a part of this showcase as well. You've been awesome to have a commentary team with, and we're going to see these guys do a 3-car tandem.
As we should. It has come quite the tradition here in the virtual space. They'll line up for it. But yeah, I mean, thanks for having me as well. It's been a blast.
gonna be qualifying beforehand.